Oh shoot, I forgot something. Hello everyone. Da, da, da. Sorry, give me a second. Da, 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 da. Yeah, okay. I think that's up. Hello Dirk, how's it going? Um, Today is kind of a take your time. um, I get nervous. Oh, actually, hold on. I'm also eating too. So since I'm also eating, going is going. Hope your day's doing well. Thank you. That's nice to hear. I haven't been productive today, so why not just stream? But I also want to keep the stream a little bit shorter, just because I have like something I need to do by tomorrow, but I don't want to put it off till tomorrow. Derek's also eating. Nice. I'm eating some Costco rotisserie chicken and some rice. So there is an interesting video I wanted to take a look at. It's called "The Case for Playing Bricks in Yu-Gi-Oh." So Chatter brought my attention to it, and I thought it's like a premise that I wouldn't say it hits close to home, but it's like interesting to me because it's like when you talk about what Yu-Gi-Oh Online, there's a lot of like debate over how you should run your deck, and it's like who cares? To me, it's like who cares too much, you know, unless you really wanted to do like really into min maxing, then like even if you min max, it probably doesn't make that much of a difference. And so like one of the ways to min max is to cut your bricks. Dirk just plays cards. You can chat. No problem. Yeah. You pretty much it's kind of like the beauty of this game, where you can kind of just compile a bunch of stuff together. A lot of people like end up arriving at like what I would say the correct conclusion through intuition anyway. It's kind of interesting. If you play enough, you kind of feel it out. There are some things that you can't like as a human recognize because it's like you have to play like thousands of games. But again, if you're only playing just to play, then that doesn't matter. But yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so bricks is like a big one. I'm a huge fan of cutting bricks. That's just but like there's always a reason for that. What's up? Hello, Duard. I'm eating and chatting. But oh my god. Hello, Duard. Okay, next time I think I learned my lessons about white meat. Oh my goodness, this white meat's really dry. It's really dry. That's my fault though. Anyway. Pot of green slippers on and ready to Reggie. Those pot of green slippers are baller. Alright. So I'll just start the video because I'm at the same time eating. Let me see. Just put this at 1.5. So basically it's like the case for playing bricks in Yu-Gi-Oh. For anyone who has seen the video about the Duelist Cup is a violation, human rights violation, this is the same person. The creator of the Duelist Cup, Joshua Schmidt Wojak. Okay, so we do have captions. Some unlubed white meat. I just thought I could put white meat into the air fryer and like, I think what I'm supposed to do next time is wrap it with a wet paper towel. But yeah, unlubed. I have to wrap it with a paper towel and heat it up so like it doesn't like dry. Hold on, that's our decision. Anyway, welcome. So yeah, this is a video essay about playing bricks. You know, if you're familiar with, if you play Dotscaper, you're behind. That's like probably there's a Dotscaper on the thumbnail. Um, well, I'm interested to see where this goes. The spray of oil helps. Try seasoning, you fool. It's got seasoning. The flavor's fine. It's the dryness. Or sauce. Okay, fine. Sauce. All right, I'll take sauce.
If you play Dotscaper, you're behind. Read a tweet by a pro player.
What did I tell you? If you play Dotscaper, you're behind. This isn't even like, this is like a tame, like, this is a really tame like tweet. My favorite pack tweet is, if you play Allied Code Talker or GWC, you're lost. That one was crazy. You get these chicken breast nuggets from Costco here in Canada. All you do is pop in air fryer. Ah, I think I'm like a rotisserie guy. I don't know, something about breaded meat. I think it's lost its same proteins as regular chicken breast. Yeah, I think it's just a texture thing. I think I prefer the rotisserie. But otherwise, yeah, that sounds like a good that sounds like a good shout though. All right. But the problem with the Allied Code tweet that he made, he deleted it. So I don't know if anyone can recover that one. He deleted that. That one was crazy.
Pack TCG on February 4th, 2025. Once a common engine choice in Malice, Dotscaper had vanished from the 4 lists that pushed through the top 16 at YCS Orlando just a few days prior. The card was typically banished off of the effect of Red Ransom, allowing it to special summon itself to the field to extend a combo.
Yeah, and like this was in early builds too, the Dotscaper. It's not like people like I think the behind tweet is kind of a little bit accurate, because people when I noticed that when people start on a deck early, they they have a bunch of ideas in one, and it's harder to get them to peel off like some cards as more knowledge of the deck increases. So like, there's nothing wrong with starting with Dotscaper, but like as people figured out Malice more and more, right now it's accepted, almost accepted. It's almost like no one really plays Dotscaper except for people online. But if you talk to like people who watch competitive streamers like Udeo or Raymond Dye or Joshua Schmidt, like you won't see Dotscaper in their decks, and as a result, their viewers will not play Dotscaper. So if you're in that like circle, it's almost standard to not play Dotscaper. 200 IQ breaking yourself with non-combo guys, yeah. Ruh acting. Ruh acting, yeah. Hello, Shaq. It's probably something, yeah. Exactly, yeah. But if you started out with the deck, there's no shame in like playing Dotscaper. That's like the main thing. Like if you started out, you're not gonna have that like prior knowledge that all the other people who are quote unquote ahead. So it was just like through the process of playing. Maybe it was obvious to some people that Dotscaper wasn't needed. All right, sorry, my bad. I'm not as goated as them. But I think it's reasonable to also like in when Malice came out in Master Duel, they literally put Dotscaper in the selection pack. They're literally baiting you already. So like if you started Malice, you saw the Dotscaper in there, you're like, oh, I can banish this off of Red Ransom, and you made that connection. You're kind of primed to do that by Konami anyway. Cards are multi-purpose, but like intensity is a stretch. Yeah, Dotscaper is actually a brick though. Like, drawing it sucks. It's very hard to get out of your hand. Like I guess the way I would describe it is, you have to be already playing for this card to actually contribute when you draw it, and when you combo and it's in your deck, people have figured out ways to combo without it. So it's interesting. If you were to talk to somebody, they could have said, "Oh, I could just normal summon Dotscaper and it represents 2 bodies or whatever," and then go to keep it so you can get cards you need faster. That is exactly what most competitive players do. It is more 40 cards used to be like standard, but a lot of the new more powerful decks require you to play like main deck cards that you play one of, but you don't want to see. But I don't know how to describe it, but the engines that Konami's already giving you like archetypes that have dotscapers within the engine. So it's more like you try to minimize that. So adding another dotscaper or whatever is making things worse. But you kind of have no choice for the other cards because they are like essential for your game plan. Not people, but you can't trust people with Apple Watch giving deck building. I actually don't know what you're referencing, but I don't have an Apple Watch, so you can trust me. So you're reacting to bums? No, I'm the bum. I'm the bum.
It had assisted players in making some of the most
Two
costly
short
boss
bombs?
monsters
Okay,
in the deck,
okay,
which
okay,
had subsequently been removed from lists that made it that far. It was not a card you wanted to see. It was not a card you wanted to draw. Dotscaper was a Garnet. If you're new to Yu-Gi-Oh!, Garnet is a bit of common jargon in the game. It refers to cards that you
It's okay. Garnet is a very specific term. There's a lot of people who like it's not a garnet, it's a brick or something like that. But the term has evolved to be all inclusive nowadays because it's just easier to use one word versus like two words to describe. Like brick would be something you can't really use. Or actually, I don't know. I don't know the difference actually. I get confused. Being a garnet is a bit. It's neither, is it? Yeah, it can be a normal summon. It's like you can normal summon it. Yeah. It's not like yeah. So like Zoli pointed out, there is a distinction between like brick and garnet or whatever. Garnet is specifically a card you couldn't like if you draw it, you cannot conform your combo at all because if you draw it alongside another card. Okay, I'll be more specific. Garnet was named after this guy, Gem Knight Garnet. Gem Knight Garnet. This guy, the Gem Knight Warrior who carries the Garnet Soul, his flaming Iron Fist crushes all enemies. This guy, he's just a normal monster. He's kind of chill. Why did you play him in the first place? Well, this card, Brilliant Fusion. Actually, two cards. Brilliant Fusion, which is when this card is activated, fusion summon one Gem Knight Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your deck as fusion material. And then this part's not important. All of this text is unimportant. The point is you have two cards in your deck that you basically use polymerization or whatever, and then you summon a fusion monster from your extra deck for free. So you wanted Garnet in your deck. If it was not, this does not say fuse from hand. So if you drew Garnet, you wanted to explode. You wanted to now why did you even want to play Brilliant Fusion? Where's Gem Knight Seraphi Knight? This is the second card that made you wanted to play Gem Knight Fusion. Brilliant Fusion back in the day. Where's Seraphi Knight? Oh no, it's Brilliant Diamond. Seraphi Knight. Must first be fusion summoned. One Gem Knight monster, that's the Garnet that you want in your deck, and one light monster. That's already really powerful. But back in the day, dumping any light monster, you have a lot of choices. And this also gave you a second normal summoner set in addition to your normal summon set. So like resolving Brilliant Fusion, that's why it was worth like playing that stupid Garnet normal monster for the second normal for this fusion monster. So once you got this on the field, you had way more options. You had a light monster in graveyard that wants to be in the graveyard or has some. You have more opportunities to combo, and you have another normal summon. So you were willing to risk drawing that Garnet just for this. You basically risk it for the biscuit. When I activate Brand Fusion without locking myself. Yeah. Also, yeah. There's no locks. That's not too bad of a card. Yeah. Okay, but aren't all bricks you want to have in deck and not draw? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I bring this up because it doesn't matter, okay? He's gonna call it a Garnet, and I know there's Yu-Gi-Oh players who offer a distinction between what are bricks and what are Garnets. Bricks are probably more usable. Garnets are not usable when drawn. But like, I think just for the purposes of the video, just roll with it, okay? Like, you see right here, a Garnet is a card which you don't want to draw but needs to be in your deck to do a combo, or whatever. What's it called? But I don't know. Okay, for the purpose of the video, just don't worry about it. The distinction doesn't matter.
Have to play for your strategy, but don't want to see in your
example would be Larva Moth.
Count them. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Oh no, there weren't. No, there were two deckless. about 16 or so.
16 Garnets?
A third of your deck is Garnet.
What the fuck?
The quintessential Garnet is the card the term is named after, Gem-Knight Garnet. Back before Gem-Knight was a deck that went second in OTK'd, or went first in FTK'd, it was a deck that didn't really do anything at all. However, it did possess one singular good card, Brilliant Fusion.
Oh my god, I'm
Brilliant
preempting
Fusion is
this
a
guy.
continuous spell that lets you fusion summon using materials from your deck, and if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh! At any time within the last 10 years, you might be familiar with how good of an effect that is. Using Brilliant Fusion to summon Gem-Knight Seraphonite got you access to a monster, the ability to send a light monster from your deck to the graveyard, and a second normal summon, which basically made it the best extender you could have for a period of about 5 years. Entire meta-relevant decks were built around it before it got limited in January of 2019.
And there was
Banned.
debates of how many Garnets you played, because if you drew the one Garnet, and Brilliant Fusion before, your combo didn't work, or like Brilliant Fusion just did not function. So it actually convinced people to play either larger copies of decks, so probably higher than 40 cards, the minimum, or to play 2 Garnets. I did not agree with 2 Garnets. I think I was on the fuck it we ball camp. Already spoiled the video, I know.
In January
I would call
of 2020.
Dotscaper a minor
You might think that
inconvenience.
Brilliant
True.
Fusion is broken, and it certainly is, but it does have a couple of glaring drawbacks. The fusion materials you use with it must come from the deck, so if you draw all of
So
them,
you can
you're
use
no
chill
longer
chat
able
while
to use
pausing video, which is probably live from
Oh,
first,
wait, you can't
for
use
first
usually
principles.
Yeah, 60 card deck, you drew the Garnet. Yeah, he's got 2 deck cards actually.
I don't like his deck building.
It's good
This
he's
might not
going
be so
through
bad if
this
These
though.
cards were decent in their own right and warranted playing multiple copies, so let's take a read of Garnet and...
This card is useless.
For most decks, Garnet is the best card you can play to make Brilliant Fusion work, with other choices only being preferable in specific strategies, and also awful to draw. Brilliant Fusion isn't the only card that worked like this.
There were people who said, "What's the 21 Sapphire? Gem-Knight Sapphire is goated. Gem-Knight Sapphire. It was a goated target because it offers 2100 defense when drawn. So 1900 attack versus 2100 defense.
In the years following 2015, a number of cards were printed. and
Honestly,
saw
it's debatable. I think you just died. But I don't blame people for playing Sapphire instead.
viability that copied Brilliant Fusion's homework. 3 busted cards you want to play, 1 terrible card that you have to play.
I've seen some posts in Zodiac from casual players that don't understand why people
This full
play
tier
one
elements
Garnet,
combo.
one Application,
Imagine
one Oracle
tier
Zephyr.
elements in
Like, why do you
2015.
wanna
That's
play
crazy.
Cards that are terrible to draw. And one of the things that's really happened in the last year, maybe 2 years of Yu-Gi-Oh, is that we've gotten a ton of powerful cards that require you to play.
It would have been
multiple
nice to have
cards
tier
in
elements in
order to play.
2015.
And,
Not gonna
I
lie.
think that's hilarious. I think that's a cool way to design. I don't want to say broken cards, but powerful cards for sure.
Though the theory behind these risky cards was often debated by casual players, the results didn't lie. Decks playing Garnet to enable strong playmakers achieve top after top.
I hated
after
Cobra though. I think that card was dicks. It's basically very similar principle. There's Orphis Scorpio, which summoned Darlingtonian Cobra from deck, which search Brilliant Fusion. So like you double up on the same. You play essentially more copies of Brilliant Fusion, but you doubled up on the same issue because you don't want to draw Darlingtonian Cobra. I don't see it here. That sucked. That was. Digs are a good thing. All right. Okay, yeah.
Top,
My bad.
top after top. These cards
I guess
were
I can't
strong
call it
starters,
ass either.
Strong extenders, strong disruption, and all played awful cards to make it happen. A couple of these cards even aged gracefully, and we'll get into why that might be.
Oh, Terratop was great. Terratop was amazing. This is also something that has a similar principle. Except, so this is a guy you summon from hand, search the guy, and then the guy summoned itself. But it actually didn't matter. People would play 2 copies of the guy you would search, but it didn't make sense to me because you could actually, even if you draw both, you could still just Terratop and then you drew the guy you would have searched anyway. You would just summon him. Like if you, I guess the one thing is like if people are willing to negate this, that was probably the one benefit of having the second one in deck, even though you've already drawn it, because like you search it and then okay, now I summon it and you still have that shit brick in hand anyway. So it's like maybe I don't even think you're a card ahead. Like the card you just searched, like I don't know. I just feel like that made no sense to me. Gamma's pretty similar, but if you draw the driver, which does suck, drawing driver sucks with Gamma. At least it's not dead. I'm a Gamma Glazer though.
But one thing you might notice is that all of the cards I'm talking about were printed prior
That's
to
one of a
2022.
good thing.
You
All
might think
right.
this is a flavor of the time thing, like how in 2024 Konami really liked monsters in the spell trap zone, and monsters that special summon themselves when searched, and monsters that did both. This isn't really true though, because Garnet heavy packages never really stopped getting printed. After the April 2020 rules revisions, we saw the introduction of stuff like the Dragoon package, DPE, the Adventure engine, the Examina engine, and Silhouette Rabbit. These cards were flashes in the pan, around for a format or two and then gone. You can argue about the conditions around them that enable.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing thing. It's probably a little on, and I don't know. I've seen people say like it kind of sucks that this is like a design element in some decks. It kind of like it appears to be a balancing principle. I don't know if it's a very good one, but like you have these powerful engines that require these like all these main deck requirements. Over the years, they made it so when you draw both pieces, you don't explode. So that's pretty nice, but it's still like not ideal, you know. It takes up main deck space, non-engine space that you would want for other things. Like sorry, I'm eating. But I think over the years, they pretty much like the Millennium engine is almost brickless, almost. They've been pretty good about like making the pieces work when they're drawn.
Viability.
I hate
Many of these
Yu-Gi-Oh!
have been available in formats of late,
Hello,
like Master
Orbs.
Duel, and have not been the correct choices at the highest levels. If people were behind before, they've been catching up. The fall-off in choices like these highlight a general shift in deck-building philosophy that has taken place within the last couple of years. As the quality of engine cards has increased, more space in any deck has to be dedicated to non-engine. Let's take a look at the top 32 deck lists of the last 4 NAWCQs and compare their non-engine counts. This year, decks like Malice have pushed the envelope for non-engine, with these cards making up 46% of space in deck lists across the total field. In 2024, when Tenpai was viable, top 32 decks were 43% non-engine on average, which is higher than 2023 and 2022. Engine-heavy decks similar to Fur Hire, Plants, or Branded did not crack top 32 at this year's NAWCQ, with the last hint of Memento being eliminated in top 64. Beyond that point, non-engine composed at least 40% of each player's deck minimum. As engines have become more compact and explosive, players need higher numbers of hand traps or board breakers to be able to defeat their opponents.
Right, there we go. I was waiting for him to say this because like there's no point in pointing out why we have an increase in non-engine. There's no point in bringing that up unless you like this is the driving force of why we have to play engine, a bunch of non-engine, because like the ability of your opponent to pop off is like not just that, but like I think the game kind of demands you to interact on your opponent's turn one. And if you play more engine, you kind of allow them to combo more often. And there's just been very few decks that have been printed that like Malice can pop off, but I don't know, when from playing Malice, like the turn one is explosive, like he said. But like the board breaking isn't that crazy. Like you kind of like on the flip side rely on these non-engine pieces to force your opponent to end on like some balls board. And then you kind of break it apart afterwards. But it's not like they got to fully play their turn out. Would you buy a Dormouse figurine? Yeah, sure. Hello, good evening, Akari. Real clothes was under the transparent skirt. Oh yeah. Balls, yeah. If one single card is kind of over, yeah, pretty much.
Deal of opening 1 to 2 hand traps of yesteryear has turned into 2 to 3 today, which puts a heavy incentive to cut any engine pieces you don't need and don't want to draw. In a Twitter thread from January of 2025, Yu-Gi-Oh! Streamer and ardent out of
Wait, hold on, we need to read these tweets.
In a Twitter thread,
if you think your deck needs to play bricks for better end board, stop and take a step back. FS Cash for the top deck because it ended on Unicorn plus Ezreal and non-engine. Your engine is resilient and can guarantee interruption through non-engine. You should build for that. This is actually very true. And honestly, there's a lot of people. At least, okay, I don't think a lot of people need to hear this because a lot of people just don't give a fuck. Like, they're not interested in like trying to like. I'm not. This is a derogatory way, you know, but like. I just get the general idea. Like most people just play the game just to play, right? You're not trying to like be the best, you know, or like improve their. I think like just getting a win is enough. But yeah, but like if you become like more competitive and like I think this is actually a pretty good principle. Like, yeah. Well, I'm trying to be the best. I believe I hate myself and like suffering. I assume that's suffering. Oh, no, but White people, gang shit no more, Fortnite, $19 Fortnite card. Do you have that 7TV emote? If you have the 7TV emote for that, I will add this. The Havara, Massive Beast, and Unicorn Pass. Yeah. So I don't blame people who just want to play a bunch of bricks to aura farm. Like, I don't give a shit too much. It's not... It's annoying, but like... I mean, like, if you're gonna play this game, you might as well aura farm. Reevaluating common consensus around deck lists has been the most engaging experience for me in the modern metagame. I'm playing a shark list that sets up one Toad, Crag, and Virtue Stream as its end board, and it's more than enough. Shaved all the bricks. Yeah, this could be blasphemous if you're in like circles that like tend to play like these pet decks. I get like, well, it's kind of hard to like back in the day when I played MathMech, I was like, people were on 2 Sigma. Like, that was pretty standard. And I was like, I think you guys should just be playing 1. It's not needed to play a second. I know, but I mean, the driving force for playing the second Sigma was comfort, mainly. And so I had to realize, like, you don't gain comfort until you play, like, you know, a lot of games and stuff like that. That's something that you have to develop as time goes on. So it's not like something I could just tell somebody, like, you cut your fucking second Sigma, you peasant, or something. I can't do that, you know. It has to be like kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, I could tell them that, but you can't like lead a horse to water and make them drink. Cut a lot of spells, only kept the bodies play 60 hand cards, Bogan and Master, and people didn't really like it. You kind of did what he's talking about Monica. Yeah. People generally aren't receptive to that. But like, yeah, again, I think it comes with experience. And like being able to get out of your comfort zone. Go crazy with this now that Genesis is like that. Oh yeah, Genesis. Oh, okay, thank you, Magic. I will add that. Doesn't Fiendsmith run 3 bricks? Oh, what are the bricks? Do you mean like Lurie? That's I know I can like, I'm not like I'm putting you on the spot because I blinked. I know Lurie's one of them. Do you consider Tract a brick? No, I don't know. I'm blinking. All right, there you go, Magic. What's a dinner? I just did myself. Rotisserie chicken, and some rice. You can normal summon Lurie. It's not ideal. I would consider it's kind of I would want to avoid that situation. Lurie, Lacrima, Paradise. Okay, fair enough. They're not, only Paradise is like the one that I want to explode when I draw. But yeah, those two are not ideal. I think it's kind of, the nice thing is Tract makes it easy to kind of like fuse them from hand too. I kind of appreciate that. But okay, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want, but yeah. But like at least, but that's Konami improving the quality of these like engines. Like, yeah, normal summon Lurie. Yeah, you can still, you should be able to perform your combo uninterrupted. If you're uninterrupted, it should be fine. I think, yeah, it's only what's called, unless you play Rex Tremende, drawing what's called Paradise. But yeah. I have 4 different decks right now. The sole goal is set up Seals. That's Seals plus non-engine. Everyone knows Seals FTK. That's a ignoring the historical standards for existing decks to unlock some kind of third. Okay, dude. This is not okay. It is very enlightening to understand this, but it's not crazy. Okay, it's not that crazy. It's not some third eye shit. But if it like unlocks Gravers of Break if you open together crap. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Maybe I'll play some stupid hero list that sets up nothing besides ZP plus Dark. I'll play 29. Y'all hate it and I don't care. This is actually kind of I actually don't know what that looks like. It's probably possible. But with like the hero list locks, actually no, it's probably possible. But yeah. If you look at the majority of hero lists, they're like aura farming, summon. You have to play a lot of engine, yeah. You know, move against society is a crazy feeling. All right. Maybe because, okay, Maybe I should check my privilege or something because this is something I've known for like a really long time. So maybe I'm being elitist.
From January of 2025, Yu-Gi-Oh! Streamer and ardent out-of-characters fan Peeps YGO discussed how wide the applications this trend in deck building had, ranging from recently meta-relevant strategies like Fiendsmith Kashtira to rogue decks like Shark.
Reevaluating the common consensus around deck lists has been the most engaging experience for me in the modern metagame. I'm playing a Shark list that sets up one Toad, Dragon, and Punch Stream as its end board, and it's more than enough. Shaved all the bricks. I cut Ancient Gear Box from Striker Machine. I'm playing Low to the Ground and playing Impactful Non-Engine. It feels so good. The cards I'm drawing are useful.
I love the voice
Cards
actor.
like Ancient Gear Box can be nice to have.
This
to
guy
make certain combos
does a
more
really
efficient
good
and
Peeps
powerful,
impression.
but they bring the average quality of your opening hands down. In order to main deck the proper amounts of non-engine to be able to play when you go second, these cards are the first to be put on the chopping block. You need to draw cards that either help you combo or stop your opponent, which means even a couple garnets might be a contributing factor to a deck being rogue when compared to tier 1 strategies. Due to large attendance and extra rounds of Swiss
Playing
required
on the
for
ground?
in-person
Yeah,
top
yeah.
decks, players at YCS
Like, especially if it hasn't been explored yet.
Before. If you play enough rounds, you will draw garnets, and you will lose matches because of them. One of the biggest changes wrought by modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is this need for consistency. Though there are a variety of traits you can use to judge decks in Yu-Gi-Oh!, two of the most important are consistency and power. The height of power in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh man, not
First
okay.
Kill, or FTK, has been in the game.
I'm going to shut the fuck up. Whenever he brings up the words consistency and power, I actually it gives me physical pain. So I'm going to just shut the fuck up. All right.
For over 20 years now. The prevalence of one-card combos and cards that double as starters and extenders are not power creep, but consistency creep. Increased consistency allows decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! To play through more and more low-impact disruption, with cards that were turn-ending in years past merely becoming a nuisance to decks today. Creep in consistency thus requires higher...
Say
amounts
Orm
of
instead when you
non-engine
hear
to
this
attempt
one.
to stop these combos. This creates a bit of a vicious cycle.
I mean, consistency isn't that annoying, actually. It's when it's a dichotomy, consistency and power, that, like, makes me Orm. Yo, Arthur, thank you for the raid. Holy big Arthur. Big man Arthur. All right, let me shout you out. Thanks for the raid. Arthur raid ass. Quorum consistency and porn were. That did not come out right. It looks funny when you write it out though. I still think you cooked. I just don't think I should have read that out loud.
New cards and archetypes being designed with even greater consistency to accommodate these high hand trap counts. This pattern squeezes out any card that is not absolutely necessary for the engine or the non-engine, making garnets way more of a drawback now than they might have been in years past. Dot Scaper was not the only garnet in Malice. Alliance Insight, dropping at the beginning of May for the TCG, introduced quite a bit of powerful support for the deck in the form of two new main deck cards, as well as Backup, Wizard, and Allied Code Talker at Ignister. These cards added extension, consistency, and endboard pieces to the Malice deck that it did not have before, solidifying its tier 1 status in a higher powered format. When these cards were sleeved up, something had to be put in the binder, and which cards those would be became clear following YCS Providence just a few days later. Most lists that made Top Cut had cut Malice Code TB11, the new Allied Code Talker, and opted to side Malice Code GWC06. These decisions were made in private testing.
No, this is
and Gabriel Braithwaite from Team JNC made it to top 8 piloting a list. Pack, a testing partner of his, made another tweet that received a bit of attention.
You're behind? No, I'm not. I don't play Dot Scraper.
I'm sorry, man. You're behind.
This guy's behind, chat. He's behind, bro. What the fuck?
Guys, if you play Dot Scraper, you're behind, man.
Man, if you're not on Deep Sweeper, you're behind.
Yeah, if you're not Deep Sweeper, you're behind.
You're behind.
You're behind.
Deep
If you main
Sweeper.
GWC, you're behind. If you play Echo Talker,
Oh, how did he get this tweet? This is the one. This is the one I think that is like the one that I think is like absolute disconnect from like the one that was like if you main GWC, you're behind. Okay, if you play Echo Talker, you're lost. This is this is the magnum opus. All right. But oh my god, how did he get it? Remember the GWC controversy? I don't know why people were like I don't know, GWC thing. I mean, making this tweet was problematic, but I don't really think like cutting GWC is like, I don't know. The reason why I don't like think the GWC thing made sense is because I think that was a conclusion he and Ryan Yu came up with. Like Aditya did not replicate that, and he did pretty much well. So it's not like I feel like cutting GWC was like, I mean, it is a crazy like idea because no one else did it, but it's not like I feel like you're behind or whatever, you know. It's not, I don't know. Ally Code Talker is like a card you can actually reasonably play. If you were to look at the support, you'd be like, oh, this card is cool. It has a negate attached to it. Of course, it seems very playable, and kind of insinuating that's unplayable, and also begging the question, what do you end on instead of Allied Code Talker, which turns out to be like Topologic Bomber? That is actually like a lot of information that you're like leaving out. Arthur Raid? Yeah, Arthur Raid. welcome. That is, yeah. GWC, like, not even other good players didn't like adopt this, or what, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I think to this day, Pack is not playing GWC in Master Duel. Just left the target audience. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
This is not a video about monetized spreadsheets, and Pack wrote up an apology about the whole situation, so I won't waste any more time by digging up the drama today. However, what I do think is interesting is that these changes didn't exactly stick. By July, everyone was behind.
Has Bomber been tested in MD? I actually have not seen that.
Extra decks, and for many,
I don't know.
GWC06 was in the main.
So here comes that GWC. I think most players have been running it this weekend. There was a big discussion, I think, as to whether you still needed to run it. Now you have all the other tools available to you, and I feel like for a brief period of time, everyone decided not to run it, but now everyone's decided to put it back in again.
Of course, as metagames develop and new sets release, individual cards often enter and leave decks, but for Malice, the consensus became that these cards were worthwhile to have. There are a variety of factors that could have contributed to this backslide. Malice was often oversided against at Providence due to it being highly feared. As this was corrected, pilots could
shout out so shoddy
in favor of Allied Code Talker. With Bystials on the rise in Malice, GWC was a nice extender and important to keep crucial engine pieces like White Binder in rotation. Or, as Aditya Darap so eloquently put it,
"Do not got this card."
Yeah, Aditya just didn't buy into it. So it's just like, I don't feel like I lost anything by I don't know. I don't feel like I don't know. GWC seems like something you do to like metagame for one event, and then if people know about it, you get fucking cooked. Like that's what cutting GWC. I don't think it was like an actual like realistic advantage that I missed out on by not knowing. Like I don't know.
I just don't cut it.
In my opinion, a reason these cards wormed their way back into decks is because there's a limit to the amount of engine cards you can cut. Let's compare Aditya's deck at the NAWCQ to another talented Malice player who had an honestly phenomenal year, Lucas Sacco. Lucas ended the 2024-2025 season with 5 YCS tops, including a top Providence, which
that's a classic.
Him for the Worlds Points playoffs. For those unaware, 2 of the people that attended Worlds from North America achieved their spot in a 16-person bracket, composed of those who earned the most points from topping high-level events during the year. Win just 3 matches, and you're headed to Worlds, baby. In this event, Lucas picked this deck list, which was by no means standard. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. The best decks at tournaments often aren't standard. Lucas's deck opted to play a frankly unprecedented amount of non-engine, shaving cards like the 3rd copies of Backup Ignister and March Hare for a whopping 23.
I forgot what Lucas had to say about his list, but I think he had some regrets. But I don't know what he said exactly.
Most controversially, the spell Malice in the Mirror is nowhere to be found, widely considered a one-of by most players. These last 2 cards are Garnets. They don't do anything on their own, and it makes sense to see them as optional when trying to include as much non-engine as you can when building a deck. Lucas made a reflection video on his performance in the points playoffs, and in it he goes over Game 2 of the first round of the tournament. Down a game and playing for his tournament life, his opponent both Lancias and Perulias, making it difficult to put up disruption. He is able to make it to the classic Malice halfboard of Red Ransom Pass, but it puts him in a sticky situation. Malice is an explosive deck. If Lucas can survive his opponent's turn, he has enough engine cards in rotation that he might be able to win even after facing down his deck's strongest counter in Lancia. However, he is not playing Malice in the Mirror, a card you would almost always search off of Red Ransom in this situation. His opponent, Nate Shimada, opens a copy of X Triziel, allowing him to force out one of Lucas's spell traps early. Actually having Malice in the Mirror...
Oh, I forgot Valon's in fucking TCG. Oh, that sucks.
His opponent the search off of X after it ate the Valen pop. Lucas desperately needed disruptions, and he just couldn't access enough of them here to save himself from losing this game. There are a variety of factors that contributed to Lucas's loss, and I definitely don't have the credentials that he does to analyze them properly, so I recommend checking.
Some of the mistakes Lucas considers in his video are his decision to discard Baldrake instead of Magnamute off a backup ad Ignister, and the bluff set of Dominus Impulse.
Out his video. Lucas playing Malice in the Mirror would have resulted in a completely different game down to the hands he might have drawn, and his opponent's hand even contained an unknown card that could have complicated the situation further. However, I do think this extreme approach to Malice was a problem for him at the NAWCQ. At the end of the video, he says this:
What I will do better is I'll definitely take a look at the decks that I'm going to play going forward. And I think that I need to play higher engine count decks. I think that if a better player has more engine, there's a better chance they break the board, even if the board is stronger, than trying to like nickel and dime the opponent to death with hand traps. I think that playing a larger engine would have been better for me for this event, at least for the main event.
This fable illustrates the dangers of going too far. It can be good to cut garnets, but for your deck to be able to perform properly going first, it still needs to be able to disrupt your opponent enough. If one side of the spectrum...
I mean, I've tried to be... I mean, I don't want to say try, but... Okay, I'll say I tried. I tried to be cute with, like... You know what? Actually, I don't play multiplication in my lists in MathMech anymore. But... previously, I did cut multiplication. And, like... Technically, you need that to close out game if you have, like, low resources. You know, because it just lets you make terahertz with two bodies as opposed to the other OTK routes, which require 3 bodies. And, you know, if your opponent can keep... You know, it's pretty realistic that your opponent can keep you off 3 before you OTK. Or something like Malice Field Spell, forcing you to attack into a Malice Link with 2300 attack or whatever, and it's just easier to you know, multiplication send and just OTK through that. I will argue that if it's pointing to a white rabbit, that shit doesn't matter. But point is, I think like that technique, you know, cutting multiplication is like only worth it if your opponent doesn't know about it. Because like there's people who've just prematurely scooped before I even revealed that I had no multiplication. And I was like, okay, I'll take that W. But if you know about it, then like there's no point. There's no point. And like, you know, that's when people know about it. That's when it goes into the realm of the cute, you know, too cute. You know, you're trying to be cute to cut, make room for non-engine. So I think I mentioned before, like doing that, probably in a tournament, I probably wouldn't do that. I probably wouldn't risk cutting multi. I'll probably risk the chance of drawing multi. Okay, I'm not even gonna bring MathMech to the tournament, so the point is moot. But like, that's the hypothetical.
Consistency. The other side is
the
power.
more you buy,
Directly
the stronger
cutting
you
garnets
get.
like Malice in the Mirror to benefit your consistency or increase your non-engine count can create a deck that is less powerful, which will also result in losing games that were potentially winnable. What makes deck building in Yu-Gi-Oh! So unbelievably interesting, even in Tier 0 formats, is this push and pull of consistency and power.
Reggie-chan.
As weird as it sounds given the game's reputation, building your deck to kill your opponent into the sun just isn't optimal. Decks built to make these sorts of boards are the embodiment of win more. Ideally, you only
isn't one
need
multi
enough
fine since you break if you draw the
disruptions to stop your
Sigma?
opponent from playing, and each extra disruption is a card
I played back then. I played 3 circular, 1 subtraction, and 1 Sigma. So I just sent the the subtraction, but that is the absolute lowest you could go. Like when I was experimenting with like ratios with circular, that was the absolute lowest you could go. But yeah, technically you just send multi too. Actually, there was a cute technique that someone did that I observed someone back when Bystials were popular in TCG and what's called Darkwing Blast. Someone like played multi and then like sent addition to subtraction, and those are non-light, non-dark. And they just sent that and then set super factorial to make sure their super factorial would resolve. That was crazy. I don't know if I've ever seen that repeated once, but I don't even think he won the game. It was just funny to see him like beat Magnamud that way, I guess. That was his very cool because few things have more aura than overkill. Yeah. So yeah, that's again like I guess I mean, you could still play it. I'm not like gonna hold you.
It is potentially cuttable to make your deck more consistent or versatile.
Hard limit
However,
for anyone who wants to go
minimum
first.
Number of disruptions is usually unclear.
Yeah, that's probably
when deck
true.
Building, you have to do your best to figure it out. It changes from format to format, matchup to matchup, game to game. These ideas directly dictate tweaks in card ratios to give players incremental advantages, and it's something that is very important to pay attention to when reviewing the current metagame or constructing your deck for an event. If you look for it in tournament results, you'll always see fluctuations, and these are a product of people playing with these thoughts, whether they know it or not. It's very easy to take this information at face value and extrapolate on it based on current trends. Maybe next year, every deck at the NAWCQ will be 60% non-engine. Maybe Gamma will someday return to 3 because of the act of playing a deck with Psyframe Driver is too unpalatable. However, what's important to understand is that these trends are responses to shifts made in card design. Though large non-engine counts
Hey, Plushie, how's it going?
this past year's NAWCQ, certain engines like Vanquish Soul, Draco Tail, and K9 in the post-Justice Hunters format buck them by offering more powerful in-engine plays on the opponent's turn, supplanting the need for hand
Drivers to go, yeah.
Archetypes on the horizon like Cool Tune show this idea might turn into a regular
Buy hard
design
caps at
staple,
624
reducing the need
and
for
get
heavy
6 card.
knowledge.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Despite
Yeah,
how
the
nebulous
6
this
card
idea is,
actually
I want to think there will always be a place
changes
for
the
garnets
math.
required by cards that do something valuable that no other card can do. Malice in the Mirror is the only useful search target off of Red Ransom when you've been Lancia'd. Gamma and Delta were popular choices for certain decks at the NAWCQ to negate cards like Banished Malice Monsters and Mitsurugi Ritual. While I was working on this essay, I became very curious about Silhouette Rabbit, which is a card that uses a Garnet and has been out of the format for a while. It's a negate and a spell trap pop. It never stopped being that just because
Driver to
everyone's
go,
Snake Eyes
yeah.
cards are now in a binder somewhere. Silhouette Rabbit.
I forgot how I got it. I think it was tribute something to
Biru.
Biru.
Snakes last December, and it's kind of crazy considering it's a Link 2 that can put up 2 disruptions. That's arguably a better endboard piece than SP Little Knight, which has seen near ubiquitous play for the last 2 years. So, where did Rabbit go in 2025? The answer on the surface.
Oh yeah, Rabbit. I was pretty positive on this, but yeah, we're having to play Azure Rune kind of sucks. But I still like I guess yeah, SP would be more ubiquitous.
This seems obvious.
You're pretty fast at talking.
This card
Thank
is
you.
bad for second.
I don't know.
This card is
I
bad
assume
for
that's a
second.
compliment.
Silhouette Rabbit
It takes a
is
lot of
bad.
practice.
This isn't the full picture though, because in Snake Eyes format, these cards are still bad going second. So why was Rabbit viable in the first place? I hit up 3 competitive players that I thought might
Rescue
respond to
Rabbit
my
finally
Discord
balling?
DMs.
I
Eva
want
Lees,
that.
Joshua Schmidt,
I need
and
that.
Dan Parker. Eva,
Wait, go back. We need to go back.
players that I thought might respond to my Discord DMs. Eva Lees, Joshua Schmidt.
Oh my god. The Duelist Cup Ojak. Hold on, I need to type it in the chat. Reggie geeked out? Yeah. The more Garnets you play, the more you don't care about it anymore. That is unintuitive. But it's probably... I'll think about that. It's...
And Dan Parker. Eva had a very nuanced take on it, citing certain interactions in the format.
Most recognizable photo of Josh.
It was a good card for Snake Eyes decks because Rabbit could pop the 10-5 field spell, which
Oh, yes. I remember hearing about that. Yeah. You got the Rabbit Pop.
was very important in that format. It could also be used as a breaker playing into boards due to Snake Eyes Diabellstar summoning, and it was kind of the second best thing you could do with 2 bodies if you already had Masquerena in the tank. You're able to make this thing that gives you a trap, that gives you a summon negate, and also spell trap pop. It's pretty decent value.
Josh had other things to say on it.
I think Silhouette Rabbit's main issue is the fact you have to play a main deck trap for it, which isn't ideal, and I think
Bruh. This Josh Schmidt impression. The Peeps impression was really good.
I think people are only willing to do this if absolutely necessary. Feels like Snake Eyes had ways of handling this just by pitching the trap for Diabellstar or Nightmare Phoenix when going second.
Dan chalked it up to this common and pivotal interaction.
The only way for the opponent to Synchro Summon into Azurune was to chain 2 10-pie monsters together. However, the Synchro monsters Trident Dragion and Black Rose Dragon would unfortunately miss timing due to their own 10-pie monster effects, and if they try to kill the statue in battle, it would take down its attacker with it.
That sounds fake as fuck. I've literally seen people play around this shit. What? I've seen people OTK through Silhouette Rabbit and Azurune. This sounds fake as fuck.
2024, Silhouette Rabbit served a niche. It was an important endboard piece. It was played in a deck that focused on summoning generic links that already made use of its 2 biggest competitors.
People
in
OTK through
Lore.
Saravis.
It was a hard counter to one of the best
It's
decks
like
in
the same
format,
principle.
but useful against many others. It required a Garnet, but the engine you played it in had ways to deal with bad draws natively. It synergized with mechanics that summoned monsters from the
That's like Saravis? Yeah.
All of these reasons made Rabbit and its corresponding brick worth playing, until the deck that accommodated it was obliterated. Now, 9 months later, things are changing again. Unlike during Nat's format, Justice Hunters has important field spells with ignition effects, making them worth popping as Disruption, a chain link after they are activated. In decks like Yummy, board breakers are incredibly common. Rabbit can pop these field spells, or negate some of these board breakers through the use of Apophis the Swamp Deity. For a deck like K9 Crystal,
I'm sorry, I got destroyed by Tenpai too many times. That deck is too fucking...
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is endlessly inventive. As the game changes, players will write laws.
I don't know. Okay, maybe on ladder you'll find someone try to Synchro Summon.
How people approach the game. I shudder
Black Rose and realize it missed timing.
Because even in its darkest chapters, that is something.
All the way. I do know. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
It was honestly a lot of pressure to put out something worthwhile after my last video. So if you enjoyed this one, I would really.
Thunder My Love. He's so good.
Thanks to Eva Lees, Peeps, Mark the Page, Joshua Schmidt, and especially Dan from YGO Organization for their important contributions to this essay. I've posted links to where you can find them in the description. Also, a massive thanks to
Chandra is the Rampardos of
Dan
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Parker, Dropstep, MBT Yu-Gi-Oh! And Ray. Support on Patreon is what makes putting together
Freaky
videos like this much more
Rampardos.
justifiable for me. So if you want to help my work beyond just a like,
That deck is so annoying because like the gameplay is they like
Okay, now
ram
here's
it
the
in
line
you
again
for
in my
130
horribly
before you
botched
set
attempt to
up,
Josh's German accent.
or they
I'm so
brick.
sorry to all of our German viewers. I got to lower my voice, not be a tiny gay child anymore. I'm a normal person with a normal person deep voice.
Congratulations. Okay, I like this video. A lot more food for thought. You know, while I was chewing on my food. Clap clap WSA. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, my take is basically like most people don't give a fuck. They're gonna play the bricks to Aura farm, so I can't really stop them. But that is a bias. I trend towards like trying to play as little bricks as possible. Dual puzzles on the board you didn't weaken that much were crazy. Yeah, some were. That's the crazy part. They were winnable too. Oh my god. There's like a lot of winnable ones. Like if there's a Promethean Princess too in the graveyard. What's the channel I want to sub? Okay. Yeah, out of characters here. Here's the here's the link. Da, 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 da. Maybe a nitpick, but a small issue I had is calling GWC mirror garnets boards when by all intents and purposes they're actually bricks, which is a bit wider of a term. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew someone would say that. I preempted that, by the way. Oh my god. It doesn't even like change what he's talking about that much. I guess it'll just bug you if you know the difference. Hello, Eiler. Oh shit, Olorp. Olorp, rare Olorp mention. Okay, next one. But yeah, I like the... Why is this... Okay, we need to close this tab. We're not... I don't like the fact that tab leaves little to the imagination. Yeah. Okay, I didn't drop any frames. Oh, I did drop a little bit of frames. Okay. Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis has one major problem. Is this recent? 6 hours. Okay. This is garnets are gemstones while bricks are made from clay and other materials. True. All right, let's find out.
So a couple of days ago, Konami announced a brand new way to play the TCG. Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis is a brand new format with a very, very big headline: no banned cards. Instead of having cards banned, you're allowed to play any card that's ever been printed in Yu-Gi-Oh! With the exception of Links and Pendulums, except for the
Dude, I'm surprised. Okay, like, I've been asked about Genesis before, but I'm surprised it's not already like a shit show, right? Like an undertaking of like no ban list, assigning point totals, like to balance it out. It's surprisingly like not there's funny moments like Arahime being pointed instead of Ohime. That was like brilliant move. I think the vid did not read in text update to a point update they gave. Okay. Alright. But like I'm surprised it could have been, I don't know, actually better for balancing and balance are probably, yeah. I mean, people like it's very like when I first heard of it, it reminded me of like the Duel Links system, Duel Links banlist system, which is something people have like wanted for Yu-Gi-Oh, because it makes sense to like ban certain combos. It does feel bad to ban cards. Fuck them for putting Ohime to 33 and Arabesque at 10. Oh fuck, I didn't realize Arabesque is at 10. But yeah, like point totals definitely have like a lot more flexibility. But I'm surprised they didn't like assign them like in a really, really stupid way. All right, like that's basically what I'm getting at. It could have been like way. It feels like someone at least knew what they were doing. Missing Mind Bro was fully playable. You were excited for that. I think I remember seeing you. Yeah, the community snitched on themselves. They should have kept the goose secret.
A very long list of cards with a point cost associated to them, and effectively you're allowed to build a deck with a total point cost of 100 points.
A little bit of Wild West,
meaning that if you build a deck with a card that costs 100 points, none of the other cards that are featured on the points list are allowed to be played in your deck alongside it. Overall idea of this format is that it brings the power level of Yu-Gi-Oh down, and it brings the complexity level of Yu-Gi-Oh also
brings
down,
that power a ton of stuff too,
and forcing people to play with cards that are usually.
I mean, like, I wonder how realistic this is, but without links, could you clog your board? Is it possible? Because that was kind of like a nice feature of links. You could just like put shit in the grave pretty easily. Now it's kind of harder to like use Dandelion tokens. Bro, I broke the format. Something everyone can feel. Yeah. Wind up drop count. Okay. But like, yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, like something like Dandelion tokens. They're not as easily usable. I mean, you can synchro summon with them. That's fine. But after, like, at the beginning, you get to use them. But later, as your combo develops, I don't know. I feel like it starts to probably more difficult. Yeah. See, unironic missing my crash outs. If you got any, I will receive the crash outs. I will check them out. I think my favorite is Chris Arena. I think he was memeing because there ain't no way that's a serious post. I don't know. I hope he's memeing, where he's like, format is solved, arms crossed, has VS K9. I think no, it's just K9 with 3 shift. Sorry, it's VS with 3 shifters and Ash and all that shit. Format is solved, and then like we got the point total update, and then he's like, LMAO, format is a joke. They hit. I'm like, you can't just say the format is solved and then not expect like, I don't know. It's like a I don't know. I feel like the appeal of this format is like deck building challenge. You pretty much gave yourself no challenge, and now you finally have to adjust. Arms crossed because have to be done with PNG of a legit and garbage. But yeah,
going to be
oh shit, Memento Mori.
Typical suite of 3 of hand traps and all sorts of broken.
I learned that from Persona.
In your modern standard format Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Now, I know that by the title of this video, you might think that I hate this concept. I hate the idea of
like
Yu-Gi-Oh Genesis, but that's not the case. I actually really like the concept of having the deck build with a point system in mind, because it lends itself to forcing the player to make very important concessions in terms of deck building, and ultimately forcing people to play with very unique deck lists and interesting deck lists. And overall, I
don't know. Have you guys watched people deck build with Genesis? It's pretty. I was watching Acetone. I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting. Like, just seeing him. Like, I mean, okay, this is a different gripe. Like, there's a better system to like see the point totals and all that. It makes it easier to follow. But like, just seeing someone like kind of navigate through, like, okay, let's try this. Look up point total. Fuck. Okay, let's try. No. Were you just throwing things at a wall? Yeah. We just throwing things. I don't know. I thought that was like. Fuck, we can't do that. I don't know. I don't know. Something about that felt nostalgic. Back when I was learning the game or whatever. I don't know. It's just I kind of like. Sorry, we're a minute in and I'm already like. I want to open a simulator, build something.
Cool and unique and different, and I love that.
Yeah, I think I want to keep
actually what I dislike
engaging with Genesis down the road.
The implementation of one very specific thing.
You don't actually play much.
Before that,
hey, there's a.
Basically, they announced Yu-Gi-Oh Genesis.
Maybe there's more of a reason to play. Just try out.
Updated some of the point costs on a lot of the cards. Now, I know that a lot of people are happy about this, and they're like, "Oh my god, they're listening to community."
How do you guys feel with 0 point costs?
And they're actually communicating with us through blog posts.
You guys think it's an interesting format, or too much stuff is gone?
Jumped the gun just a little too quick. I really don't think that 2 days worth of theory crafting
Viking
really
is
enough
pretty cool.
to know whether or not certain cards were too broken, certain cards cost too
MD
little,
gets us. I know.
I think with YCS
old games that cost.
Yeah. 2 weekends away, I think that would have been enough time to give people to try to discover what all decks would be interesting to play in the format, and then taking it to the YCS Anaheim side event where they're going to be running them all day on Saturday and on Sunday to win a freaking dark.
I already lost to that too. I lost to that too.
Take a little bit more of an educated based on statistics and actually what was.
They like Kieran popped
take a wild guess from what people
Megalo on my
weeks.
first turn. I'm like,
I did
fuck
buy some cards because I
off.
had this really cool idea for a deck, and unfortunately, the deck that I wanted to build is no longer
Okay,
viable
exactly,
because
do
of the
I?
changes. Now, I'm gonna clarify. I don't think this is one of those. I invested into these cards, and I should have been
Cool
allowed to
engine
get a
and Twin
return on my
Twisters.
investment. That's not how I feel
Okay.
about it at all. Anyone who knows me knows that whenever I buy a card, I don't view it as an
I
asset or
fucking-
as a stock or anything like that. However,
I
whenever you buy a
unironically
card because
exploded.
you were
They-
presented with
they
a
dropped
format
Meteor
built deck
Me,
for it, bought the
exploded
cards
my-
in order to be able to play it with your friends or at your locals, because a lot of locals are firing this event. I really think that you should be allowed to get value out of that card and get play time out of that card.
I actually might go to locals more
So
often,
the
just
fact
if
that
they host
initially released this
frequent
format and then
Genesis.
2 days later, after probably a lot of people purchased cards because they were excited to give this format a try,
Alright,
already
it's
killed off a lot of decks that a bunch of people
simultaneous,
were very
yeah.
excited to play, probably bought some cards to play, and now won't be able to use those cards for. So that's my first complaint. However, we are going to finally get into the larger complaint, and this is the meat and potatoes of the video. This is
Age
the
is
main
good
reason why
physically,
I wanted
true.
to create this video, and it's because I have one really big
Was
complaint
Ichigo
about
Fine
this
supporting
format
it?
that
Yeah, I
I've
saw
been
the
looking online and I haven't
Konami
seen
thing.
anyone
It
really
did
talking
not
about it.
look.
So I want to basically present this argument to you guys just as food for thought.
The
Now, again, I like
Konami
the concept of Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis. This is not me
version that
being
they
here to
provided,
complain,
the
being like,
official
they
one.
killed the one deck that I theorized and wanted to play. It truly is just me presenting you with an
It's kinda
alternative
doo-doo? It is?
thought
Okay.
that you might
My
not
body
have
is
had,
healthy. Hell yeah.
just so that more people can maybe think about it and see maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis should be something just ever so slightly different.
Okay, sorry, another tangent. I'm sorry, I'm not really engaging with the coder video. But okay, I'm still talking about Genesis, okay? Did anyone see the Josh stream where he was playing Genesis for the first time and he couldn't use any of the third party because of his affiliation with Konami? Hey sir, how's it going? I want Josh to so he had to use the official Konami. That was... Oh my god, okay. He was fighting for his life. He was fighting for his life. He was fighting a three-front war. Konami, his chat, and the fucking deck builder. He's in the Konami. I stopped running at everything, Schmidt. Don't worry, he can't stop Runic in in Genesis, but yes, that guy. Is it legal to show Excel spreadsheet on stream? I'll be honest, he could have done that, couldn't he? Is Excel really that bad? Yeah, is it that bad? YGO Pro Deck? I don't think so. I think I don't know. I think they don't like the third-party aggregator sites. He uses it for deck. He does? Okay. Okay. But he did explicitly say he couldn't use it. Like, but if he uses it for that already, okay. Maybe it's because it's just DB deck wrong. Maybe it's because the idea that the official deck builder exists, so you can't use like any facsimiles. Maybe it's that. But I actually don't know the situation now that you guys brought that up. When he does regional recaps, okay. How did the Metamorphosis Runic gaming go? I fell asleep basically. I woke up like in the afternoon, so I didn't get to. I think I watched Acetone stream and then fell asleep midway.
I'm suggesting is not a really crazy major one. So, the main complaint that I have about Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis is the headline itself. No banned cards. Now, while I think the concept of no banned cards
Metamorphosis
is
against
interesting, and B, also is a headline that, let's face it, really attracts returning players, people that haven't played the game in over a decade.
True,
just new
coder
players.
spitting.
Just this idea of, wait, I can play with everything? That's so cool. I think that that's a concept that, in theory, lends itself well to inviting a lot of people to start playing this format. However, on the opposite side, 100-point cost cards are effectively just banned in this format. You look at cards like Utopic Zexal or Rongo Miniad, and these cards, despite the fact that Rongo doesn't actually cost 100, but a majority of these problematic cards are effectively just banned in this format. While yes, you are allowed to play it in your deck at the cost of effectively not being able to play anything else, the flip side of that is that they associated a high point cost or a point cost that would get you above the 100-point threshold in order to make it so that these cards are effectively just not playable anyway. So while this format does in fact not have a ban list with the exception of Links and Pendulums, but for the remainder of this video, we're just going to go with the assumption of there is no ban list, okay? While this format has no ban list, the reality of it is that there are a lot of cards that are pseudo-banned because they're not able to be played in any meaningful way. You can put them in your deck, but you're not able to use them in any way,
Okay, something's
shape, or form.
bugging me.
So why do I have a problem with these 100-point costs even being allowed in the game at all? The reason why I have an issue with it is because...
Okay, what is this picture of? Is this like Ace Attorney? Higuruma? Is this Coder himself? I don't recognize the monsters. I imagine it's Coder, and then I don't recognize what's going on here because of... I thought my quality was ass, but... Alright, for any Coder heads that know, Can you hide chat for a second? Okay, so okay. All right, coder heads. All right, I'll hide chat. I'll hide chat. I forgot that blocks the shit. There. Actually, link the video. Okay. Fine. Ace at Ormy, yeah. I don't know. There. But yeah, if anyone knows, let me know. I just wanted to point that out. Computer enhanced. Dude, the quality is really bad. I can't do it. All right.
Every single one of these 100-point cost cards, take a bunch of other cards with them and bloat up this point cost list. The major reason that I'm seeing people talking about why Links and Pendulums were banned is because people are saying that if Links and Pendulums were allowed, there would be way too many cards that would have to be put on this point list, and reducing how many cards are on this point list actually makes it a lot more digestible for newer and returning players to actually pick up.
Just get premium for enhanced bitrate? I do have premium.
Those are also a big culprit to...
I do have premium, actually. I do. That's why there's no, like... Okay, I guess you could say that we could have just had ad blocker, problem solved, but I do have premium. So anytime there's an ad, the one perk I actually use on premium, anytime there's an ad, you can like skip ahead.
Towards this exact same factor. You look at, once again, Utopic Zexal, every single rank up card ever created in the game has at least 1 point cost associated to it, specifically so that you can't play it with number S0 Utopic
Game has to do premium.
That just seems very strange to me. Now, I know this is going to sound extremely weird, but the big reason why I wanted to make this video, and
that's crazy.
Say, Coder, you have a horse in the race. They hit your deck. They hit the thing that you wanted to do. Let me break this down. I got really upset because in the points update that they made, they took Planet Pathfinder, a card that has seen effectively no competitive play damn near ever in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, with the exception of being played in Mystic Mine, and they made it cost 3 points. Now, why did they do this? They did this because Mystic Mine is legal in this format. Mystic Mine being obviously a card that, if it hits the board and sticks, you outright win the game by stalling the game entirely to a halt and burning your opponent for game. So, because Mystic Mine is legal, every single field spell searcher has a point cost associated to it. Terraforming, Planet Pathfinder, Metaverse, heck, Demise of the Land. These cards that effectively don't see any play unless they're played in some very specific strategies that can utilize them in interesting ways, with the exception of Mystic Mine, which uses it for evil, essentially. I remember the days of the TCG banning every single tuner instead of just banning and I remember when they would hit every single FTK enabler instead of just banning OG Firewall Dragon. This is not something that we want to be repeating, yet this is what we're seeing here. Now, Coder, why is Planet Pathfinder something that's even on your radar? Why do you even care? I was basically playing a K9 Archmage deck. Now, I know that they hit Jokul, and I think that's a very
Archmage.
And I think the deck would still be extremely playable despite that point cost. However, one thing that is kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back is the point cost associated to Planet Pathfinder. In my opinion, being able to stick 2 5s on the board to go into a River Stormer to get Planet Pathfinder in order to search out a field spell that gets you to engine is, in my opinion, a very creative thing that you can do deck building.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Of combining level 5s from one archetype in order to go into another archetype's rank 5 monster to search a generic card that gets you to the field spell that gets you to engine is a very, very cool thing that you should be allowed to do, especially in a low-powered format like this.
Okay, he has a point. That's cool. You get to do K9 shit, search Planet Pathfinder, get the Archmage field spell. That's kind of cool. All right. I respect it. All right. But yeah, everyone's probably gonna experience some kind of fallout due to these changes, and it's probably the price you pay for allowing evil into the format. Put it 3 rather than 1. Oh yeah, could just be 1.
Consistency card that bridges 2 unique engines together.
He was also wrong. He played Archmage on stream 1-3. So are you saying he didn't even need that combo specifically? Other field spell shit that I was doing. Yeah.
These 100 cost cards that you basically can build around one really OP boss monster or some broken degenerate card like Mystic Mine. My big issue is that this gimmick of wanting to have every single card legal comes at the cost of bloating the list of cards with a point cost associated to them, while also associating a point cost to cards that, let's face it, shouldn't have one in the first place. A lot of these rank up cards are totally
You just K9 and play Pure? Okay.
For free. Planet Pathfinder is also a card that should totally be allowed to be played for free.
I mean, I've seen Pure Archmage lists floating around in the Genesis
So like I said at the beginning of the video, I really do like the concept of having a point cost associated to cards, but I think that the implementation of this kind of falls flat for me. And the reason why I say this is because
I think that is a cool play. Be like, yeah, I think you guys have a point where it's not like Archmage is unplayable. You just lack that one cool, like, you know, oh, check out my secret technique that I've honed for weeks. I don't agree with him. What do you mean, like, you don't agree with him? Like, what he was saying previously, or like the Archmage thing? Because what I think I agree with you if you're disagreeing with what he said previously. This is what a point system does? Okay, yeah, okay. And I agree.
Point cost distribution because it offered a
that Bellstar
different
was
way
actually unplayable. Yeah, I heard
implement a ban list into the
Azumina
Yu-Gi-Oh!
control
Trading
is
card game. A lot of times you'll hear people talking about what if we had a Duel Links ban list where if a card is at 2, you can play 2 of it or 1 of it and another card that's at 2.
Joko is up
like
to
that,
13.
Which was a ban list idea that never really worked for the TCG. And then a lot of people had this idea of what if a card was too broken,
I guess you find out.
Just one other card. What if you just made it so that you can't
Rated
play
Dark,
both
thank you
cards
for
together?
follow.
Realistically, in my opinion, that is what Yu-Gi-Oh!
I don't
was
agree with
attempting
anyone.
to
Giga
create.
Chad.
It was attempting to create a list where
I don't
you
want
are
peace.
able to make concessions
I
in terms
want
of the generic good cards that you can
problems.
play in favor of being able to play some of these 2-card combos that are very powerful together and sometimes a little too powerful. The way I look at it in my head is that something like Fire Formation Tenki, a card that's really good
Okay,
for
is he gonna say like we need a ban list? Maybe it does get to that point, but for now, I think I don't know. Okay, if he doesn't end up saying that, I'm gonna look stupid. But now I'm just gonna go on a tangent, arguing with someone I just made up. But like I said, I'm surprised it's not a complete shit show. Like the point totals have been distributed kind of fairly, and they're also open to lowering point totals too. So it's like he wants the cards to be at 101 points. That sounds really annoying. Arbitrary. That actually sounds arbitrary as fuck. I don't like that. He's basically saying we need balance. Hit more instead of Pathfinder. I see. Oh, I see. Put mine at 101. So it's like, but I don't know. No, that's okay. That's less arbitrary than I thought, but at the same time, I'm just like you can't just say there's no ban list and then you'd be like, oh, 101 points D. Yeah, it's not arbitrary. Yeah. I got you.
Beast Warrior monsters, in my opinion, I think
I just didn't make the connection that he wanted.
That allowing them to play Tenki is
mine at
probably
101.
extremely reasonable, as opposed to the Zodiac deck, which is a lot more powerful. That deck already has Zodiac Barrage to have consistency,
Hello,
so
Tyler.
why not associate one
Sometime
cost
reveal
with
the
the Fire
decline
Formation
for me.
Tenki and the Zodiac Barrage to make it so that the Zodiac player has to decide, well, Barrage is the engine card. I'm going to choose to pick Barrage, and instead of playing Tenki, I'm going
you can raise the limit to 150. Yeah, you just
consistency card
raise
and
the
instead put them
limit.
towards some more generic powerful cards like a Joel Lockbird or some Ash Blossoms or something like that. I think that the idea of the point cost was absolutely
just go to
fantastic idea to make
OTS
it so
store
that
and convince them
different
to raise it to
two-card
like
combos,
125.
that were too powerful together can be given
I don't
an
know.
associated point cost that makes it so that you're not really able to play all of them. However, if one of those
I
cards
don't
is fair
know.
to
I
play
mean,
one deck,
it's
and one of
okay.
those cards is fair to play another deck,
Okay.
those decks are able to reasonably play these cards without making too much of a concession in their deck build. So Coder, after all this rambling, what exactly is your solution? We understand that the complaint is that I dislike the 100 cost cards because it makes it so that a bunch of other cards that are interesting to deck build with are given some sort of arbitrary.
It's not balanced or anything, not
costing
100?
one. Planet
Okay,
Pathfinder costing
that's
3
also
for some reason
true.
instead of 1. They could have just made it cost 1, but for some reason it costs 3. And it
That's
feels
also
like it's kind of
true.
all willy-nilly. My suggestion is the following. I
I'm
think
kinda
that we
scared
can
of
keep
200.
This concept of there is no ban list, there are no banned cards, while also removing some cards from being able to play it in the most popular or standard format. Of
That's
Yu-Gi-Oh!
true.
Genesis.
The,
I think
yeah,
that
the
a lot of
2-card
these 100
combos
cost
add
cards that are
up
deemed
to
be
101.
so powerful that you should only be allowed to play one of them in
Or-
your deck.
yeah, I know,
Combining with
I know.
any of these like 500 other cards that are on the list should actually be bumped up by 1 point. I
This
think
problem's
that all
not
of
that
these 100 cost
bad.
cards that are really broken, like Mystic Mind, like
Major.
Deity, they should all cost 100.
It's not that bad, it's major.
Points. Now, why is this my suggestion? Let's face it, a card like Mystic Mind that costs 100, but every other card that makes Mystic Mind good, costing some points, is effectively a ban on Mystic Mind. Sure, you can play the 1 copy of Mystic Mind, but with none of these other cards, your Mystic Mind deck is not going to be able to function. So for that reason, playing Mystic Mind becomes unviable, and for that reason, it's effectively a ban on Mystic Mind. So my suggestion is to, instead of making it cost 100 so you can still play it in the standard format, but you can't play any of the other stuff, you instead make it so cards like Mystic Mind, like VFD, all
Which is
cost
what
101
ruined Yu-Gi-Oh!
points,
True,
so
that's
that
sad too.
they're rotated out phased out effectively from the standard format of Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis. However, they're still completely legal.
It's my favorite
viable,
reaction
and
for Hello
playable
Awakening.
in any tournament that decides to run an over 100 point cost tournament. What this creates is the following points. The first reason I think this
Nice
would be a really
driven.
solid change for the format is it would allow the team to build the point cost list around the concept that these 100
Yeah. There's
cards are
like
not
yeah.
able to
There's always gonna be fallout. Like I saw someone be like, buy this format, buy my not Lunalight. My Lyralux deck got smashed to pieces. How could they, Konami? And they're like, not playing this format. I was like, oh okay. That's a shame. I don't know. I've seen voiceless decks. Like I feel like voiceless decks don't have every single tool, but there are still people trying to make that work. You know. So I don't know. If the voiceless players are trying to make voiceless work in this format, you could probably make... It can't be that bad, all right, to play Lyralux. Not the Lyra last week. Okay, you know what?
Be played in the standard format.
Lunalight can still double aggro without Tiger. Sorry, I meant to say Lyra last, but that's good to know about Lunalight.
Cards like Metaverse, cards like Demise of the Land, cards like Planet Pathfinder, you can remove those cards from the list entirely because they can't be played in the standard format of 100 points. The second reason why I think this would be a very good change is because it doesn't outright ban these cards entirely. Local tournaments are allowed to choose to run tournaments with a higher or lower point cost for their events. Meaning that you can get some events where you can't play any of the cards that are on the point list, basically a 0 point cost tournament. You can get a 50 point cost tournament to bring the power level.
I'm glad sales ban is at 100.
Also do the opposite.
I'm actually kind of glad about that one.
Point cost tournament in which cards like Mystic Mine, alongside these, Mystic Mine searchers and stuff like that, would still be able to be played.
My first day I quit.
Yes, phase out some cards from the standard format.
Yeah.
You do still adhere to the headline of no ban list because truly you aren't banning any of these cards. You're just saying that these cards have a specific point total associated to them, and depending on the tournament that you're playing in, you might be able to have enough points to play it, or you might not be able to have enough points to play it, while ultimately not telling people, hey, these cards will never be able to be played ever again, such as Mystic Mine in the TCG, for example. And ultimately,
editing this video,
and allowed some of these cards to be set to a point total that is above 100, it would basically
make it so we get a lot less of these
collateral damage hits on the list, and we can instead focus on creating a list that makes it so that you just can't play pairs of cards that are
I'm not built for
okay,
this, bro.
When put together, do too much.
I'm not built for
instead
Funger.
Allow people to play with
I'll play
cards that
Funger 2
okay,
before
in
Funger
decks where
1.
they're just okay, where they're completely fine to be played. Instead of just creating a format where we're able to just remove the problematic cards, the way too powerful cards, and making it so you can only play them in a tournament that is basically meant to be high power and overpowered, where everyone's playing with broken shit, we can instead remove these cards, allow the standard format of the format to be played in a way where all the cards that are on the list have a realistic chance of being played, while also making it so these lower power decks can utilize some of these really interesting cards in their deck building to
actually
create
just
not only
2K points.
Deck,
oh
but
yeah,
play lines and interesting games. Ultimately, if you remove a lot of these crazy power
when you
cards,
play Funger 2, so I don't miss
play
it.
with some interesting stuff, you get longer games, you get more interesting games, you get more diverse games. I think that this whole concept, this whole idea, would actually allow decks to be more.
We're gonna be playing Pokemon Legends slot
because that's the only good counter trap that costs 0. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis is in a place that you like? Do you guys think that the idea of having cards like Mystic Mine, cards like VFD in the format allowed in tandem with other cards that would be able to be played with them, having a point cost associated to it, making it harder for other decks to be able to implement those cards?
Have you seen the Band Max song? Yes, and I thought it was like the worst shit ever. Not really, but I couldn't stand it. I couldn't sit through it.
Moving forward, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Getting top 5 in DC tomorrow? No, I gotta get top 5 in job applications.
It's not gold. Maybe I'm in the wrong here, and that's okay. I want to spark good, healthy discussion around this topic because, like I said, I really like the concept of this format, and I really think that there's just a couple of flaws that need to be, like a couple of kinks that need to be ironed out. But I think that if those flaws get addressed, and
you haven't heard the Band Max
this
song.
format can genuinely be something.
All right,
really
Max
cool
DD, if you would like to hear the
really cool direction for
Band Max song,
please leave your comments in the comment section below. I'm gonna be reading through those. Heck, maybe I'll even argue with you guys. I've already been arguing.
I thought you had it
in the description as well. If you guys want to join, it's not official.
You sat through CPR.
Where everyone is playing Genesis format. It's super cool. A lot of nice people there. A lot of people there that are open.
I said CPR is a good song if you like ignore the lyrics. I don't think the Band Maxi song is a very good song.
That would truly make this format something fantastic that a lot of people would be looking forward to playing. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for hearing me ramble for however long I've been talking, and I appreciate you all, and I'll see you all in the next video.
All right,
have a good one, guys.
If you guys enjoy it, I'll set it. I'll pull it up for you. If you guys will enjoy it, that's fine. I will just shut the fuck up. His take is that cards hit to go around to 100 because other deck options. There's a point of making. Yeah, it's true. Top 5 job. Number 5 Burger King Foot Locker manager. Yeah. Hold on, I'm kind of ruined. I gotta put it at 1x speed. You guys gotta. Here you go.
Save the game now. Save the game now. Save the game.
Who are these goons? I don't know actually. Oh, actually, I think they go to my friend's locals in Boston or something. I think that's these guys. Okay, shut up. Are you playing Stage 2? Nah.
Just spend a maxi, keeping you in check, locking down the game. Play it every match, yeah, it's always the same. Drawn to you.
Boston Maxi biggest off, yeah.
Maxi is a broken card, yeah. I'm not the only one right now. We love the game when it gets locked down. More than Magic, more than Wise. Yeah, you gave us the game, let us give you advice. Everybody thinks this card is a disease. Listen to the community just once, please. Listen, cause I'm preaching to the choir. Can the rate of use get any higher? Set the card afire. Do it before people retire. The OCG is in agreement right now. Don't use your aim to save you. Throw it in the backseat. Yeah, band's all you need, just ban the maxi.
I like the duality of chat right now.
I just bought the words. I made 2 copies of Maxi. You can deck me out, but your co-player is so happy. Yeah, play into it fast. Yeah, that's how the trust grass. Yeah, toss a roller red to grave and attack me.
Limiting it enough this time. I can do my boy, it should be a crime. My approval comes with removal. Just ban the maxi, don't be fooled. Everybody thinks this card is a disease. Listen to the community just once, please. Listen, cause I'm preaching to the choir. Can the rate of use get any higher? Set the card afire. Do it before people retire. The OCG is in agreement right now.
Did you hear that Will Smith song, the Pretty Girl song? I think I heard that. I think I just saw a clip.
You need, just ban the backseat.
Oh yeah! I know what you're talking about. I saw that tweet where they just like speed up that Will Smith song. Okay, I saw that tweet.
Now this game won't be free till you just ban the maxi. Listen, cause I'm preaching to the choir. Can the rate of use get any higher? Set the card on fire.
Okay, he really hit that note actually.
The OCG is in agreement right now.
I'll give him credit for that one.
Throw it in the backseat.
And was vindicated? Oh yeah, dang. He had 5 head. That is truly 5 head. Alright, there. We saw we saw the fucking Soju boys. No. Alright. What's next? We breaking Autotune sound barrier with this one? Okay. Alright guys. Who up prepping their Doom? Fuck. Orm. I don't agree with destroying cards. I'll be honest, I don't even know if those were actual cards. They look like printouts to me, but I didn't. Hey, hold on. Actually, now I'm curious.
The card of fire.
Yeah, these look like printouts. To miscut. Look how poorly cut this is. Those are all right. Burning trees for this? Probably not the best idea either. Yeah, the cut's so bad. Oh my god. All right. All right, we know we're in for a good one when we have the Josh thinking pose. Beardless Josh too. What's the best non-engine to play after Doom of Dimensions? Great Club just fucked my shit up. Oh my god.
Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. Interestingly enough, I think this is one of the best formats for Ghost Bell basically ever since the card came out. Usually this card was more of like a niche side deck options for maybe.
Wait,
like...
is he doing the thing where he does a clip? Oh my god, this reminds me of like fucking like 2020 when you pull up like a fucking Destiny video and he just like there's like a short clip of him like roasting some and then the logo shows up. No.
1 or 2 matchups in the format. I think right now you could realistically main deck Bell. Like I think Bell is really strong right now.
Oh my god.
Non-engine in the current format. And when I say current format, I mean
that is
format, everyone cares about, of course, for YCS.
You're
YCS
so
the landscape has changed in the current format. And I want to talk about that for a second before we jump into the individual cards. With decks like Draco Tail, Mitsurugi, Yami, and maybe Lunalight taking a little bit more spotlight right now, I think it is a little bit of a different environment than what we had in the last format. So, and I think something like K9 Crystron, Gem Knight, Guy Striker, Orcus, Mitsurugi, hybrid variations maybe, or like Heraldic Ryzeal or something like that. With that in mind, we're going to go over these cards. I'm going to tell you whether I like them or I dislike them. I'm going to tell you in which matchups I think they are good, and whether I would consider main decking them or side decking them only. So, back row removal in the form of something like Harpy's Feather Duster, I think is in a solid spot right now. I would not recommend main decking it in anything that isn't like maybe a Sky Striker deck or like a blind second deck in general, but I think in general, having access to Feather Duster is pretty solid in a lot of matchups, you know, against decks like Mitsurugi, being able to force the counter trap immediately. I mean, counter trap.
All right, now
or
do one
like,
for
if they don't go for the counter
you
trap,
should do one for
like,
Genesis.
the prayers, Magatama, and any imperms that they said immediately, so that's nice. Against Yami, they're going to have to use the Herald Negate on it if they don't want to use the Surprise and Field Spell and any other spells they said, so I think it's a pretty high value card. Not going to win any matchup on its own because most decks have good boards outside of their spell traps, but it's a decent card. Against Draco Tail, if your deck really struggles with Draco Tail Flame, you can also use back row removal to force the flame. That's not a good exchange for you, but it works. Called by the Grave is a very good card in this format. It depends a little bit on your deck.
I think it's interesting because I don't see people.
Some decks do, some decks don't, and I think Called by the Grave.
Do you mean in like Constructed or Genesis?
Also just like
I guess you mean Constructed
in general. I think what makes Called by the Grave exceptionally strong in this format is the fact that
I don't see people gassing up
in a lot of matches.
Striker.
Against Yami, you can negate Herald of the Arclight. Against Mitsurugi, you can hit the Murakumo or the Futsu or whatever. Against
it's mostly like
Yami. So it's a really strong card at even hitting engine cards when you're going second, which is different from last format where decks like Vanquish Soul didn't really care about Called by the Grave at all. I think it's very good.
I think the one person I've heard talk positively about Striker
in the format right now. I think the only deck that it's arguably not crazy against is Yami, but even against Yami, it has very solid applications. You can either choose to use it as a hand trap and hope.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe it just hasn't like
you can hold it
been
for your
in
own
conversations
turn,
yet.
play through a card like Yami Surprise or when the
I will say,
tagging out.
let me double. Now you got me curious. Lemnis Gate. I think this doesn't require like equal number. This actually doesn't require you to have a there's no main monster zone requirement for this card, so you don't actually turn this off. I guess you get rid of the others. I don't know. I actually do not have that much experience against Striker either, so.
Quality card. Very
I don't think this has Kaiju.
Very good against Draco Tail, and obviously also a strong hand trap against something like Lunalight. So if your deck can play Impulse, you should probably play Impulse. Retaliating Sea is also a very, very good card this format. Obviously, I think it's more suited as a side
no. They're not going to bounce the Kaiju. They'll probably keep it around, and then you still have to play through that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. They could hold it for your other interruptions, but that's probably one thing that counts against it. But I'm not saying it's the reason not to do it, because that's probably the only other real interaction besides non-engine in hand. But yeah, I actually don't know. I will think about that.
It is very strong against Draco Tail.
You think Ray got his username from Ray? I think most people do. I think most people do.
Hit a Rahu or a K2
it's a very common thing.
Retaliating Sea hurts Draco Tail in almost all of its versions.
You link off the Kaiju with Ray? But I guess if you're playing through the board.
Has some random applications in some other matchups. Like for example, against Sky Striker, you can counter linkage with it, which is relevant sometimes. You could also consider it against Yami, depending on the deck you're playing, because if they use the Surprise, you can chain Retaliating Sea.
I imagine you would like
which is neat.
Attempt
and also
to,
if they start with Hornet Drones or Obedience Schooled, which is now limited, but still really, really good side deck card. I think with Draco Tail now being in more of a spotlight position in the metagame, I think you're going to see a lot more Retaliating Seas, and I think Draco Tail really needs to worry about
I don't know.
that.
Actually, I'm not very
Ash Blossom is also a staple card in this format with very little surprise. I think the only deck that plays through Ash Blossom very well is Yami, but even Yami, you can hit some of their starters. You know, sometimes you can just Ash Engage, or you can Ash Piri Rise Map, or Ash Obedience Schooled, and they might not have a play after. If they start with the monsters, the Ash Blossom will not actually stop the combos, but other than that, really high quality card against Draco Tail, really high quality card against Mitsu, very versatile card in any other match.
X-Ray is favorite
most
part
decks are going to want to play Ash Blossom. In general, I think board breakers
X-Ray,
are also
my favorite
in a pretty good spot
character.
right now. So
did you know
cards
he got
like
a
Ash Blossom
spin-off
being good
sequel?
does not mean you have to play it in every single deck. Like if you decide to play a board breaker deck and not
I
include
think
Ash,
it was
that's
X-Ray who was the
valid.
protagonist
And
of the
ultimately,
sequel
there are
to
still
Holes.
going to be some K9 decks out there that Ash is not going to be great against, because if you Ash against K9, you are at risk of getting just like extended on with like Izuna. So just because I called this category staple does not really mean you have to. I guess I should just make it like extremely good or something like that. Yeah, because staple means you have to play it in every deck, which is not the case with this card. But they are very, very good. Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion. Interestingly enough, I think this is one of the best formats for Ghost Spell basically ever since the card came out. Usually this card was more of like a niche side deck options for maybe like 1 or 2 matchups in the format. I think right now you could realistically main deck Bell. Like I think Bell is really strong right now. Just to name a couple of interactions that you can do with Bell.
I should know
is
that.
Obviously really strong against Mitsurugi Prayers and all of the Mitsurugi Ritual Graveyard effects, because you can negate the Search and the Revive. It is very strong against Draco Tail to Bell the trap cards. What you're trying to do, most Draco Tail players are playing 2
I should know that.
So
bro, how do I not know
the
that?
second one, it will not shuffle back the first one, and then they
I
left
would
without
think
any traps
so.
in the deck, and it basically ruins their grind game because they're gonna run out of spell traps. So if you play a grindy deck, Bell is really good against Draco Tail for you. Against Yami, when you play into a Yami board, you can Bell the Synchros when they try to tag out, which can be very, very crucial in certain moments.
How did I
against
not
Yami.
know
You can
that?
also use it against some one-card combos by Yami. For example, if they
Your
start with
opponent's
Cookie or
effect.
Lollipop or
Yes,
Marshmallow,
then
if
yeah.
you Bell
Ray
the
does not
minion to
resummon.
revive, they need an extender.
It's not
otherwise
Mirror
they
J,
cannot
which
play through the Bell.
says,
So Bell, really
Prince
high
card.
quality cards in those 3 matchups. Also happens to be very good against Sky Striker because you can Bell Kagari and Sky Striker is 0. So really good format for Bell. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some success of main deck Bell in this format. Chalice, I think, has been a decent option in the last format. Maybe
I
if you
don't think I
wanted to
ran
worry about
Delta
turn zero
versus.
plays like
In
Onisu
Master
and
Duel,
Mizuna, both of those have
I couldn't
become way
beat,
less relevant. So Chalice
when
is a pretty situational card. I don't think
first
I
drop, I
would
couldn't
recommend
beat
main
Brandon
decking
in
Chalice in
red.
anything. The only decks that maybe could consider playing Chalice are decks that mainly care about Herald of the Arclight against Yami.
So,
but even then, you're probably better off playing something
that
like
deck force.
Confirm,
I had to
Droplet.
play
There's
DD
better
Crow and
options
Bell.
available for Forbidden Challenge. Cosmic
To
Cyclone,
target
I think,
that
is a
matchup.
mediocre card now. I did say when we discussed non-engine
you
for
really
the last
run
format
Chalice?
before Doom of Dimension, I
I
saw
don't
some
know,
use cases for Cosmic
actually.
Cyclone, specifically for the Yami matchup, because banishing their field spells was actually really painful for the deck. However, now
Last
that
time I heard
Marshmallow is going to be out,
Chalice,
they're going to have a way
this
easier time recycling those
was
banished
like
field
a
spells, so
budget
that is no
option.
longer a win con against the deck, and so I think Cosmic Cyclone just loses a lot of its appeal, and I wouldn't recommend playing it. It's not like bad,
Dude,
but it's definitely
the last time I actually
Board
played
breakers-
Chalice was fucking. This doesn't mean like it didn't see play after, but during hat format. Like with I will not elaborate what deck I was playing, but I was playing Chalice.
in the form of Raigeki and Dark Hole, I think are
Definitely
pretty
going
solid.
great with
They are
Relic, let's
situational
go.
in the sense that like you can't play them in every single deck, I don't think, because they just don't make that much sense. But if you're playing a full board breaker deck like Sky Striker, I think Raigeki is a pretty solid option because most boards are either going to get completely obliterated by it or it's going to force out an Omni Negate. That's the thing, right? It's like if your opponent really cares about the board, they can negate it with Herald of the Arclight, they can negate it with Draco Tail Flame, and against Mitsurugi, the Raigeki is like fine, but it doesn't do anything against Lunalight because at this point, like if you're playing a board breaker deck, if they make Liger, you're going to be in trouble already. So overall, pretty solid though. I liked it. I played Sky Striker at
I guess you
locals,
can get used
and I
out
played
of
some
Kaijus
Raigekis and they were
in
pretty
the
good
Lunalight
in my
matchup.
opinion. Book of Eclipse, I
For-
think has
for what it's worth,
has
though.
lost a
Doesn't
decent
seem
amount
like a
of
bad
value. I
outfit.
still think it is a solid board breaker. I don't think it's my favorite anymore. I think it's valid against Yami. However, I don't love it against Mitsurugi at all. It's very easy for Mitsurugi to recover from Book of Eclipse because they can just tribute their set like Murakumo or Futsu or whatever for prayers, and then just everything comes back and face up. And they also have IP on the board usually, and so you know, like you basically have to hold Book of Eclipse and then chain it to the IP so that they can't link. But then you're also eclipsing your own stuff, and I don't know. I'm not sure. Also, going first, it does nothing against Mitsu pretty much. Like maybe you prevent a rank 4, but like the rest of the plays are still gonna go through. It's a pretty good breaker against Yami, pretty inconsequential against Mitsu and Draco Tail, so I don't love it, but it could be all right. If Yami is your worst matchup, I think it could be okay, but I think there's gonna be better options for that. So maybe I'll actually demote it to situational. I'm not a huge fan of it. Evenly, on the other hand, I think has solid applications this format. I think decks like Draco Tail and Pure Mitsurugi have their weaknesses to evenly matched. Of course, giving up your battle phase is rough. In some board breaker decks, you're gonna draw some cards. Like for example, in Sky Striker, this card has some risks because you might draw into it with Engage, and then you might not be able to use it anymore. But it's got some pretty solid use cases. I would not recommend main decking it, but I think it is a decently positioned side deck card in the current format in the right deck with the right approach. What I don't think you would want to do is play evenly in a deck that already plays hand traps. So if you are choosing to play cards like Ash Bell, Impulse, Retaliating Sea, or whatever, I would not recommend playing evenly, which is different to some other board breakers, like something like Eclipse or even some of the ones we're talking about later.
Okay,
down the line.
so
They can be
at
paired
least
with hand traps,
people are
you can just hand
considering
trap your opponent and then super poly the remaining stuff they have, but that doesn't really work that well with evenly. Fenrir. I think Fenrir is a pretty solid card this format. I think it's going to make some boards stronger going first. One thing you have to take into account with Fenrir is some decks might have lines to play around Nibiru, and Fenrir might change those because it's going to be an extra summon. So what normally would have been summon 4 is now going to be summon 5, and that could be a problem depending on how your deck plays under Nib. My problem with Fenrir is that I feel like going first, it's a really strong disruption. However, going second, I am not sure how high quality of a board breaker it really is, but it's definitely not bad. I'd have to try it more. I haven't been playing Fenrir a lot in most of my decks because I was prioritizing other cards that conflict with Fenrir, like Bestials or Izuna or Phantasme or Impulse or Nibiru. Like, I think that's the biggest problem for Fenrir going second, is that it just conflicts with other cards that I like more. So if I have to decide between Fenrir and Phantasme in my side deck, I personally prefer Phantasme, so I'm gonna not play the Fenrir because of that. Infinite Impermanence. I think it is good, but I think it also is a little bit weird because it's not that good against Yami. Against Draco Tail, it feels solid, but it also feels a little bit hit or miss because sometimes, you know, they go normal summon Lucius and you're in that position where you like play Imperm this Lucius now because they might just not have a way to fuse. But then if I do Imperm and they have 5 mana, they might like dodge it. Against Yami, I'm gonna be honest with you, against Yami, you're probably best off just holding it for your turn if your deck struggles with the Herald, but you can do that. Against Mitsurugi, it is only okay. I think it's probably one of the weaker formats for Imperm. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not bad. If you're looking for like the best 12 or 15 hand traps, the Imperm is probably part of that in the main deck, but I don't think it classifies as a very good card. Like, I genuinely am currently, even in some of the decks that I'm playing hand traps in, I'm considering not playing Imperm. But it can be played. It has some advantages. Notably, I think it is one of the best cards against K9 decks because hitting the new K9 normal summon with Imperm is super clean. So if you're worried about that, you might still want to play Imperm and you might still want to side it.
I noticed that while learning Vanquish Soul K9 or just like K9 combos with Noroi. It's not the end of the world, but like if you normal summon Noroi, it's very hard to play around the Imperm. Other hand traps feel okay because you at least can turn on the Vanquish Soul, sorry, the K9 cards, but yeah, Noroi kind of folds. Inborn.
Because then they cannot extend with
Like,
Izuna. Izuna is a very
it
good
is
card.
super clean versus. I actually like how he said, yeah, super clean versus Noroi.
Format, I think just as a raw hand trap, I think it does a decent amount of things. I believe one of the main things that changed about Izuna is that it can now also sometimes be used against Yami. Not always, because your Yami opponent can still choose to play around the Izuna by not activating the Marshmallow in hand, but not every Yami opponent is going to play around Izuna at any point in time. Some are going to decide to play into it at certain moments because sometimes it's the correct thing to do, which means that the Izuna is now no longer dead 100% of the time. It is now live a decent chunk of your games. You might still side deck it out against Yami. That's something you might want to do, but like against all the other decks, Draco Tail, Mitsurugi, Lunalight even, like it's going to be live basically every time and very early on in their turn, so you can basically choose when you use it. The only thing that Izuna depends on is, of course, you need space in your extra deck. Not every deck can afford to do that. Not every Draco Tail variation can. Like, for example, if you choose to play the Magistus cards in Draco Tail or the Dragon Maid cards or whatever, then you're going to struggle to fit the exceeds for Izuna. But I do think it is, in itself, a pretty good hand trap, this format, that is live against most matchups. I will say, though, in most of the matchups where it's live, it doesn't, like, immediately auto-win you the matchup. It's just a solid card. Like, if you drop an Izuna against Mitsurugi, it's not instantly winning you the game. Because you probably have to discard another card if you want it to resolve, or the Murakumo, and then you get a rank 4, and that's rank 5, and that's annoying for your opponent, but it doesn't automatically win you the game. But it's a high-quality hand trap nonetheless. Artifact Lancia, I believe, goes into the situational category. I'm not gonna lie, there are matchups for this card, namely Malice, if it's still being played, Crystron K9, if it's still being played, and Luna, which I'm pretty sure is going to be played. I think those three matchups Lancia is pretty solid in. However, are those three matchups really relevant enough for you to use side deck space on it? Because there's a lot of other things running around, and I don't know if those decks are high priority enough to play a super specific card for those matchups. I guess Orcust is a good point. Yes, Orcust, the Lancia also has an application. So I think if your deck struggles with those matchups, or if you just expect a decent amount of those decks, then I think playing Lancia is valid. I don't think it's bad. In my head, it's just a little bit situational. Like, I could see myself playing it if I just struggle so much against those matchups that I really want a specific card for it, and I can afford it, because maybe if your deck has like a good matchup against Mitsu and Draco Tail, and that's why you don't have to spend much side deck for those, and you have extra room, then Lancia is completely fine. Mornar, I see no reason to play at the moment. I think the applications for it are just a little bit too few and far between. I already think Valor is not going to be that great. Mornar just being like basically a verse version of Valor is tough for it. I think with cards like Imperm and Valor already being not that high priority, I think Mornar just shouldn't see play this format. You can use it on your turn 1. The problem with Mornar on turn 1 in the TCG is that it's a trigger effect. So it does not work on Arthalion on your turn. If your opponent goes by mana effect, make Arthalion, the Mornar has to be Chainlink 1, and the Arthalion is going to be like Chainlink 2 or higher, and then it's going to resolve and then be negated afterwards. That's why Mornar is like pretty bad. Yeah, overall mediocre. Charmies. I think the landscape for Charmies has changed a little bit. I think Mulcharmy Meows is a pretty situational card. I'm struggling to find really good matchups for it. I think the best matchup for Meowls is when you use it on your own turn against Yami. It can be quite annoying. However, I don't think that's enough reason to play it. Like, I don't want to play a Charmy that I have to hold until my own turn and then activate it in the draw phase. I don't like that. In most other matchups, I'm not a big fan of Meowls. I think with Malice out of the format, it's a little mid. It has applications against Mitsurugi, but I'm going to be honest with you, I think there's much better things you can do against Mitsu. Like, basically, in order for you to plus off of a Meowls against Mitsu, they have to summon like multiple times from the graveyard, and that means every time they do that, they search and summon back. So they basically, every time they use a ritual graveyard effect, they get 2 cards, you get 1. That means it doesn't even really discourage them from doing it like once or twice. Like, yeah, if you draw 2 cards off Meowls, it was technically decent, but they also generated like 4 cards in the process. So yeah. Also, they can just search and not summon back, which sometimes isn't even that bad for pure Mitsu. Hubalos, on the other hand, I think it's at least very good. I'm not sure, because the decks in the format right now, like basically there's like one half of the decks that are pretty solid into Fuba actually, like Draco Tail and Mitsurugi. Against those decks, you don't really need Fuba. However, there's another half of the decks in the format where Fuba is going to be very strong, which I think is why I'm still going to put it in extremely good. But it's not as dominating as it once was with like Malice, Ryzeal format. But right now, like Yami, Lunalight, K9 variations, I think the Fuba is still really good against, and basically like a really, really important failsafe that like you take the risk of drawing it going first. Because I mean, against Draco Tail and Mitsu going second, it's still fine. It's not bad. It's still a good card to have when you go second. And so I think it gives you a very nice safety net against like the higher ceiling decks in the format while still being decent against Draco Tail and Mitsu. It's dead going first, but a lot of decks have great ways to make use of it. Like for example, Draco Tail can fuse away, Yami can discard it for Cupsy, Mitsurugi can overlay into a level 4. So most decks are fine with drawing a Fuba going first as long as you can play. So I think it still qualifies as an extremely good card that you should play in most decks if you can. Purulia, with the absence of Ryzeal, or mostly absence of Ryzeal, I think Purulia becomes more of a situational card. I actually don't love Purulia right now. It was good against K9 Vanquish Soul because it discouraged them from extending and extending and extending, because most of the Vanquish Soul summons were from hand. However, against something like K9 Crystron, I feel like they can still basically pop off while giving you like 1 or 2 draws. So I don't think Purulia is that good, to be honest. Like, I think most matchups don't care enough against Mitsurugi, they can go full combo with 2 draws, or they can just go for a slightly adjusted combo and give you 0 draws sometimes, or just 1. And I think the same is true for Yami, the same is true for Draco Tail. Draco Tail sometimes can just play without a normal summon. If you Purulia them in draw phase, they might just decide not to normal summon, give you 0 draws, and outgrind you from there. So I'm not a fan of Purulia right now. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit is a weird card. It has applications against every matchup, but I feel like those applications are either a little bit too small in terms of their impact, or they are very late into the combo so that you still lose to the other things that they've made. So for example, against Yami, you are forced to basically use the Ghost Ogre very early and hope they can't play through it, which is very situational because it
like the
depends
one guy
100% on their hand. If they start with Engage, if they start with Obedience School, or if they start with like multiple Yami names, they can always ignore Ghost Ogre, and you basically have to hope that you can go use Ghost Ogre on your own turn onto the Snatchy when they try to synchro with it. But usually, if they go for the combo, they have ways to play around that and get another Snatchy back. Like when you Ghost Ogre the Snatchy, they like tag out with the synchro to bring back another Snatchy from the graveyard or something like that. So the Ghost Ogre can only ever do something if it's paired, which I think makes it a situationally good card against Yami. Like it can work, but only if it's paired with other cards. The same is true against most other matchups, like against Mitsurugi, for example. The card has very few applications, but the one application it does have is you can Ghost Ogre IP Masquerena, which is not bad. But it's probably going to cost you 2 cards in hand because they have Murakumo. Yes, you can Ghost Ogre the IP, but can you beat Prayers, Magatama, Murakumo, and the Nibiru they have in hand because they search it off Gallant Granite? Probably not. I think Ghost Ogre is situational. It's worth noting that against some Draco Tail variations, Ghost Ogre isn't that bad. Like against the Megistus version of Draco Tail, Ghost Ogreing the Cartesia or the Lucius is not actually a bad play.
Okay, I'm curious to see what he has
I think
to say
there's
about
better
that.
hand traps in the format that have better coverage and more impact. We got some more breakers. Super Poly. Super Poly is a good card. I think it has very solid applications against most matchups. I'd have to look into exactly what things you can hit against Draco Tail. I mean, if you play something like Mysterion or Secretarial Dragon, you can Super Poly into that for sure. Pretty good card against Yami. Pretty good card against Mitsu. Pretty good card against Draco Tail. The caveat here is the same with Izuna. These 2 cards require significant extra deck space, and that is not something that every deck is willing to do. But if your deck can afford to play Super Poly, I think it's worth noting that it's a pretty good card. What I like about it is that it pairs pretty well with hand traps, actually. So I think playing something like 9 hand traps and then Super Poly is not bad because you hand trap your opponent, they make a half board, you Super Poly the half board, you're good to go. And it's also a really good card going first because if you set it, it's really hard for some decks to play around. So I like Super Poly. I think it's a decent card, and I could see people experimenting with it a decent amount. What's holding it back? Once again, decks like Yami don't have extra deck space for it because if you want to cover the entire meta, you need different targets. You need like 3-4 targets to cover the metagame. That's not that easy for most decks. Like Yami doesn't want to do that. Draco Tail, depending on the version, also doesn't want to do that. Mitsurugi, if it plays Extravagance, can't really afford to do that. I think Extravagance is more important than Super Poly for Mitsurugi because consistency is more important than the breaker. You can find other breakers, but it's hard to find other consistency pieces for Mitsu. In theory, very good. In practice, I don't think we're going to see that much of it, but some rogue decks might really be able to shine with Super Poly. Rescue Ace. Rescue Ace loses one of its main decks, which is basically Vanquish Soul, which I don't think is going to be that popular anymore. However, I will say, I still think this card has solid applications in this format. I don't think the only deck that can play it is Vanquish Soul. I think some other decks might also want to play Rescue Ace Impulse. I think it's a pretty solid card for every deck that is scared of Herald of the Arclight, because you can just go put out a Fire Attacker, which is big enough to threaten the Arclight, and you'll just draw 2 cards and discard 1 in the process, which I think is pretty valuable for some cards. Like Draco Tail could use this as one of their non-engines because Draco Tail has problems with Arclight, and this just helps you filter your hand. You have a better chance at drawing cards like Nib, Phantasme, Phimena, and you have something that immediately forces them to interact with it because it's otherwise going to kill the Herald. So I think it's a decent card still. I don't know if it's higher priority than other non-engine for Draco Tail, like whether you want to play this or just like a straight up breaker for the Herald or just more hand traps to prevent the Herald. Like all of that is also something I can imagine, but I think Rescue Ace is still solid, especially in decks that have good discards too. Like someone is mentioning right now in Orcust, you could do that. I'm sure Orcust could play Impulse. Dark Ruler, I think, is a solid card. I don't like main deck Dark Ruler anymore. I liked it a lot last format. The K9 Vanquish Soul board, Dark Ruler kind of slapped. And against Yami, Dark Ruler also slaps. I think the problem is that, like, in decks like Mitsu and in decks like Draco Tail, their back row just does way too much. So Dark Ruler is not good against them. And then also, of course, always the Dark Ruler problem is not good going first. So I personally wouldn't advise main decking Dark Ruler. I think it's a solid card to side deck if you're scared of Herald in the Yami matchup. Once again, pretty good card against Yami, pretty good cards against some rogue decks that make crazy boards. I do not like it main deck, personally. Shifter, I think, is a card that I wouldn't main deck, probably, depending on how popular Mitsurugi is, because Mitsurugi doesn't really care about Shifter that much. If Mitsurugi is popular, then I don't think you want to main deck Shifter. However, Shifter is still a very good card because most of the decks that can play it should probably side deck it. That's how I would personally do it. Like, for example, if I was playing Mitsurugi myself, there's a high chance I'm putting a Shifter into my side deck because my deck doesn't care as much about it, but my opponent's decks probably do in the right matchup. So I'm side decking a Shifter, and whenever I draw it, I'm probably going to win, right? And so, yeah, Shifter good in side decks, I think, if your deck can play it. Skullmeister, in theory, not a bad card against Mitsurugi. I struggle to see what it does against Yami. Can be okay against Draco Tail, but I think overall just not enough applications, and you should always be playing another hand trap over it. Songs of the Dominators is a pretty situational card. I mean, only really
today,
Yami can play it.
right?
That's the only deck that really wants to. Even in Yami, the card I think has become significantly worse for a couple of reasons. First of all, Yami now has a monster effect that they want to activate in hand sometimes with Marshmallow, so like the drawback of songs actually hurts you sometimes. And just in general, the decks right now are not super weak to songs. If a card like Imperm is already only in the solid category, Songs of the Dominators is basically a more situational version of Imperm. Like, it just doesn't stop the key things against decks like Draco Tail and Mitsurugi, right? Because most of the important stuff is happening in hand or in the graveyard or with the spell cards, and like this card just doesn't interact with those, so I don't love Songs of the Dominators right now. Triple Tactics Thrust, I think, is a very good card. This is like one of my favorite cards to play in those types of like hybrid variations.
I mean, I got a chance to play
if I want to play like 9 or 12 hand traps, but then like some board breakers on top. For example, in Yummy, this is something I've been doing, play some hand traps and then also play Thrust, because Thrust is one of the best cards you can use going second to break the board, because you can either search like Talents to break the board, or you can search Obedience, Schooled, or Engage to extend. So I've been liking Thrust a lot in something like Yummy, and in other decks I could see it doing the same thing if you can search solid extenders for going second. Like hypothetically, a deck like K9 Vanquish Soul, for example, could use this to search like Sniper Soul going second when you're playing into a board. Of course, it's not an attribute, but I still think like it being a board breaker and a consistency card at the same time when you're going second is really nice.
What's in your beast
and of course,
pile?
decks like Sky Striker are always going to play Thrust. I like it all.
Is it like
Effect Veiler? Effect Veiler is just burst and imperm in every deck that isn't Draco Tail. In Draco Tail, I think Veiler still has its place. Overall, it is a solid card. I could see it being played in Yummy. It can be kind of used as like a starter. I mean, it's part of some 2-card combos with like Almirage or Linkaribo, so I don't hate it in Yummy and Draco Tail. I think for most other decks, you're just going to choose other cards from up here over Veiler, but it's not bad. It's not bad in Draco Tail, but not my highest priority, I would say. Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator is a pretty situational card at the moment, because other than Called by the Grave, this card is essentially completely useless going second unless you're playing a mirror match or your opponent just happens to play the same hand traps as you are. The problem is a lot of the hand traps that people are using right now might not be in your deck. You play against a deck that has Dominus Impulse, like Mitsurugi, you might not have Dominus Impulse in your own deck, so you can't cross it out. Same with Purge against Yummy, same with Songs against Yummy,
my friend is
same
very
with
fond
Kuva,
of
because
that
sometimes
deck.
you go first, you don't want to keep Kuva in your deck. Of course, you can do that. Retaliating Sea, am I going to put a Retaliating Sea into my Draco Tail deck going first just to cross out the Retaliating with my one crossout in a deck?
Yeah,
that
you
doesn't
can
seem like
you
good
can
deck building.
still.
So I think most of the time, this card can only really negate like the super popular
you can
cards
always
like
play
Ash, Nib,
stage
or
2.
Imperm or whatever if you play those cards yourself, which if your deck really
You don't
struggles
have to
with Ash, then I
qualify
guess you're going to play Crossout just for
when it
that, but it's not
starts.
very flexible. It's hard to hit the non-engine right now because decks just have different non-engine from each other. Dominus Purge goes right next to Dominus Impulse, because both of these cards, the same thing is true. If your deck can't play them, you should play them. I think Dominus Impulse is slightly better in terms of the cards it can stop, but still Dominus Purge, extremely good card against Mitsurugi, extremely good card against Draco Tail because you can hit K2 with it. Of course, Impulse can hit K2 and Rahu, but still Purge is really good. Its consistency against Lunalight, right? You can purge Tenki, you can purge Gold Leo, and maybe they can't play. Very, very good. Magnamut. Magnamut is a good card this format. I like it. I don't know if you should main deck it, but I think it has very solid applications. Good against Mitsurugi, good against Lunalight, good against Yummy. Specifically, Magnamut I think is awesome in Draco Tail, so I would recommend playing Magnamut in Draco Tail for sure. In other decks, you know, you can play Bastille, you don't have to, but I do think they have very solid applications. I don't know if I would main deck them in most decks outside of Draco Tail. I probably wouldn't, but I think they are a consideration for the side deck. The question is just, are they better than something like Bell or Retaliating Sea or whatever in some of the matchups, which is like probably not, so they might not have the highest priority, but I do think in something like Draco Tail, they're exceptionally strong. Basically, if your deck has a target for Magnamut, I would play Magnamut. I don't know about a full Bastille package, but Magnamut is very good right now. Speaking of a good Bastille target, I like Phantasme still. I think it is a solid card right now that you could even consider main decking. It's a little situational in the main deck because not every deck is going to play into it right away. Like for example, Draco Tail is going to make a Seals, so the Phantasme is going to be live, but that's like relatively late into the turn. I like it against Yummy, but at the same time, Yummy does play Thrust usually, or at least I would play Thrust in Yummy, so I'm a little scared of that. But I think playing a package of one Magna, one Phantasme is a very reasonable thing to do, specifically Draco Tail, but also in other decks. I like that. Change of Heart is a solid card, I think. It's between solid and situational. It's like you can only side deck it. You can only side deck it for going second. Even when you do go second and you do draw Change of Heart, all it really does is like relatively low impact, right? It's like, okay, against Draco Tail, I can force the Seals or the Flame. Against Yummy, I can force the Herald, which depending on the deck could be good enough for a reason. But like, it outs Bakuska against Lunalight because you can take it and turn it to attack. So has applications. Don't know if I think the impact is good enough. Chaos Hunter. Chaos Hunter is mid. I don't think there's enough malice to justify it. With Lancia, at least you have other matchups that the Lancia can go in, like Lunalight or Crystron. I wouldn't advise playing Chaos Hunter for those matchups, so yeah. Dominus Spiral is not on the list. Dominus Spiral, I did not put on the list. You're right, I forgot about that. I think Dominus Spiral is a situational card because not a lot of decks can play it, but even if they could, I wouldn't. Right now is the problem. Dominus Spiral, for those of you that don't know, works a little bit differently than the other Dominus cards because the condition is a different one. Instead of being able to activate it when your opponent has a card on the field, your opponent has to have used an effect in hand or graveyard, and then you can bounce a monster back to the hand or extra deck. And then your opponent can revive something from the graveyard. And then you are locked into, you cannot use light or dark for the rest of this game, which means a lot of the meta decks can't play it, but even if your deck can play it, I think it's just not enough impact because most of the decks at the moment just don't make the craziest boards, right? Like, yes, you can end phase Dominus Spiral, a Herratic Seals, or an IP Masquerena.
I've seen
I feel like
people run into Yubel.
Contact C also seems decent with Retaliating C being viable. That's another good point.
I ran
Contact
into
C
DDD.
I think I would rate Contact C as a situational card, but because Retaliating C is so good, I think a split of 3 Retaliating, 1 Contact is a pretty viable thing to do. Yeah, I don't hate that because then you have a search target for Retaliating C when they eventually out. So I don't mind that. Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries.
I usually
I'm thinking
see
about
a
it just
lot
now,
of
and if your deck
weird
has
stuff.
extra deck space, once again, extra
Not
deck space being a problem
relative
here with some of these non-engine cards.
you know,
I think this card
Malice
could be
and
pretty
Raigo
solid.
combined,
The problem is like against
but-
Yummy, they have ways to play around it, but against Draco Tail, like hitting triple Arth Valion
Is it enough
is
to be
pretty
like,
good.
oh,
They
that's
can
a-
recycle it though, right? Like the Draco Tail traps can
That was
put
novel.
a banished Draco Tail card back,
Wait,
right?
I think is that 2 times speed or
maybe it's more
1.5?
like
1.5.
situational. I'm gonna put it in situational just because I haven't tried it personally, but I can see some applications. It's like an experimental card that could turn out pretty good. obviously it's nuts against Lunalight if you play a target, but like Draco Tail can recover from it.
Oh, and
Yami
in
can
general?
recover from
Oh,
it.
okay.
The thing is, like, only because they can recover from it does not mean it's bad, because them recovering from it might still force them into some awkward lines. I know that's the case with Yami. So by the way Yami can out Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries is because the field spells, when they are in the graveyard, can put back banished Yami monsters to the bottom as well to go back into the deck. If you banish the Snatchies for it, you can also go field spell in the graveyard and put 2 Snatchies back. Now, the thing is, setting up a field spell in the graveyard is not always that easy for Yami. It's not trivial unless you draw one. If you draw a field spell, it becomes super easy because you can just discard it for Yami Cupsy Yami way, and then you have a field spell in the graveyard and then basic. So that's like inherently Yami already has 2 outs in their deck immediately to Ghost Reaper, right? Because if they open one of the field spells, it's basically free to out the Ghost Reaper. And then sometimes, depending on how they start, if you Ghost Reaper them early and they still haven't searched with Cupsy Yami, they might be able to special Cupsy, search a field spell, and then get that one into the graveyard. That can happen. So I think it's situational against Yami. If they know the lines to play around it, it's not going to be that good. Same for Draco Tail somewhat. Yeah, it's good against Lunalight for sure. Like if you're thinking about like finding a like one card that beats Lunalight, Ghost Reaper is pretty strong. And what you do, by the way, is you don't hit the Liger Dancer, you hit the Leo Dancer. Because if the Leo Dancer is banished, they have no way to summon the Liger Dancer even. So Ghost Reaper is really strong there. The problem is you still have to deal with Baguska somehow. But then again, even if you can't out the Baguska that turn, I don't know what their win condition is in the long run, so you might be fine. DD Crow, it's not bad, right? Crow is not bad against Mitsu. Crow is, I wouldn't side it against Yami. I wouldn't side it against Draco Tail. It's not bad against Lunalight. So it has applications against Luna, has applications against Mitsu. It's not bad against Striker. It's not terrible against Crystron, but probably not high impact enough. I think it's alright in something like Draco Tail because you can recycle it and then use it over and over and over again. At which point you might be able to actually outgrind a lot of these decks, no problem. Not bad against Orcust, not bad against Fiendsmith. Yeah,
it seems
I don't think
kinda
it's good enough against Yami and Draco Tail to main deck it ever. And I don't know if it's good enough in the side deck against those other decks. Like why play Crow if you can play other more targeted cards? But it's alright. Droll and Lockbird is a very good card. The reason why I'm not putting it in extremely good is because I don't recommend main deck.
100 points?
I simply think there's some decks in the format that Droll and Lockbird just doesn't hit at all. Namely Draco Tail and Yami, where like Droll and Lockbird barely does anything against those decks. Like you have to be very lucky. Yeah, okay, if they start engage, you might cut them off of one Cupsy search. Or like the Cupsy Yami way search. Sure,
yeah,
that can be a little bit annoying sometimes, but it's overall not good enough, I don't think, against Yami. It's okay, but like not great against Yami. And it's not great against Draco Tail either. Like sure, if they start with Lucius and then you droll them, they might not be able to activate K2 later, but they're gonna find a way to play around that. Like that's not the problem. However, it's a very strong side deck card. You know, decks like Mitsurugi, decks like Lunalight, decks like K9, decks like Sky Striker are all in the format, and Droll and Lockbird is very, very strong against them. So it's a very high priority side deck card. Honestly, if you main deck Droll right now, I don't even think you'd be that crazy. If one of those matchups is what you really care about because it's really hard for your deck, then I think it's not even that bad to main deck Droll and Lockbird. In a deck like Draco Tail, it's a spellcaster, so you can fuse with it and make something viable out of it. In Yami, it's a level 1.
It's probably
so
the
you can normal it and
compromise
make Linkuriboh
to
and then
TCG.
special your Yummies from hand. So like, it's not even that dead in those decks if you draw it in a matchup where you don't want it. I could see some people main decking it. I would mostly recommend siding it for now, unless there's a lot of Mitsu, which could be the case. But yeah, Forbidden Droplet, very good card. Another one of those cards similar to Super Poly that works really well in even in decks that play a bunch of hand trap and then just play like a Droplet with it, because Droplet is really strong right now at handling half boards. You know, like you care about if you care about the Herald in Yami, all you have to do is activate a spell and then chain Droplet. Against Draco Tail, you can drop with the Altharion in your turn. That's really nice. Against Mitsurugi, drop with the IP, drop with the Murakumo, drop with the Futsu. It's not going to win you the game on its own, but it's a pretty good non-engine card overall. I like Droplet a lot. The cards that tribute your opponent's shit. With Lunalight in the format, all of these cards have some application.
Okay,
I think I'm going to throw Ras Fear Mode and Lava Golem in situational. Not every deck can play them. It goes without saying that if your deck doesn't need the normal summon at all, then of course these cards are better than Kaiju. Kaijus I'm going to put in solid. I think every deck with no exception in this format should have an out to Lunalight in their side deck or main deck if possible. Like if you can't find anything,
I think that might be like ultimately it might end up being like growing stale because like whether it gets solved or, but hopefully with like you know more frequent updates, you know it stays alive. But yeah, that would definitely need. Yeah. Really went after Golem?
your deck can do with its engine to out the Lunalight stuff, then play some Kaijus. In some decks, they're even good against other matchups. Like, for example, in Draco Tail, the most important thing against Yami is outing the Herald anyways, so just play some Kaiju. But then at the same time, you have an actual win condition against the Lunalight deck. If you play Thrust, you can side the Ruma Cannon. You can do that, but I don't think that's super reliable against Lunalight because they have a spell trap negate, right? They have Lunalight Silverhound in the graveyard, so if you can't force that somehow, Karma Cannon is not going to help you. So, I don't know. But yes, you need a way to handle the Liger Dancer this format. I think if you, okay, it's one thing to lose against Lunalight because you didn't draw your answer, that's fine. But like losing to Lunalight because your deck straight up didn't have an answer, I think is not something that should happen this format. There should always be an out somewhere in your deck. Kurikara, on the other hand, I'm just not a big fan of right now because I don't like that your opponent has to activate the effects before you can actually use the Kurikara.
Yeah, that's
I just don't think that's good against the current decks in the format. It's not bad against Yami, I think. However, against Lunalight, I don't want to wait for my opponent to Raigeki my board before I can actually out the Liger Dancer. Also, it's worth noting that yes, I probably should have put Dogoran as the picture because Dogoran is the one that most decks can search because you can go Hita and crash into something and then search Dogoran. So Dogoran is probably going to be the most common Kaiju. In this case, if your deck can make Hita, you might not even have to play 3 Kaijus, then 1 is already enough. enough if you can make Hita. Lightning Storm goes next to Duster. I think it's a solid card this format, but I wouldn't main deck it. Cards like Dark Ruler, Lightning Storm, and Duster all have very solid applications post-side. I don't think they are good in the main deck. It's also worth noting that Lightning Storm went to 3, so you can play a more consistent like strategy now with Lightning Storm post-side. You're going to see it more often. I think that's good. So you can play upwards of 3 Lightning Storm, 1 Feather Duster.
Maybe not everyone can pick up Striker.
Nibiru is weird
right now.
I'm not gonna lie to you. There is a couple of matchups where I would classify Nibiru as a very good card. Like against Yami, for example, I like Nibiru a lot. Against Lunalight, Nibiru is also a pretty solid card to pair with other hand traps. Like, of course, alone you can play around Nibiru, but as soon as you pair Nibiru, it becomes pretty strong. It's also one of the strongest hand traps to have when you're going first. You make an half board, you have Nibiru behind that, very powerful. Also a very good card in Draco Tail. I like it a lot in Draco Tail specifically as well. Problem with Nibiru is that some decks in the format can play around it surprisingly well. Draco Tail and Mitsurugi have some really good lines around Nibiru, but that's also usually only when they go first. When they go second, Nibiru can hit them pretty hard. So I like it actually. Maybe it goes up a little bit. I'm putting Nibiru up here. I think Nibiru is good. I don't know if you should main deck it in every deck. There's some decks it has anti-synergy with. Like for example, if you play Yami and you play the Sky Striker cards, you might not want to play Nibiru. If you play a deck with Dominus Impulse, I think you should think about playing Nibiru, because Dominus Impulse is usually a hand trap you want to use early, like on K2, Rahu, Mitsurugi Ritual. Like you want to use that Impulse early. You don't want to hold it because you have Nib in your hand. It's a very awkward pairing. Still think overall it classifies as a pretty good hand trap if you also consider the fact that it's really good going first. Pankratops, solid side deck option. I like it. I still think it's good against Yami. Once again, I keep saying this about Yami, but I really think in some matchups it's all about the Herald of the Arclight, and Pankratops is one of the most consistent outs to Herald of the Arclight. So if your deck doesn't care about Yami but cares about Arclight, then Pankratops is your way to go. Like Draco Tail, I think it's a good card in Draco Tail because you can just go special Pank, pop Herald, activate K2, and you're good to go. Yeah, I like Pank. I think it's solid. If your deck doesn't care about Herald, you probably shouldn't play Pankratops. But it's nice too that you just happen to have an out to Floodgates as well in your deck. Like if you play Pankratops, if you ever feel like there's a matchup that's really good for you, but you could lose if they draw like Rivalry, Gozen, or whatever, then you can go Pank. Don't they have Link Revo now? Yeah, but like you're not trying to attack over the Herald. You just summon Pank, activate effect, and then the Herald is gone. Then you play. So it's fine. The Spellcard Monster Reborn is a card that was played a little bit during Mitsurugi format, which is why I'm bringing it up right now. It's a situational card, but I don't hate it against the Mitsurugi matchup. And you can like use it in some decks. It can be a pretty good extender too. Like if you play like a Draco Tail Mirror or something, you can like steal something from their graveyard maybe and make use of it. A card that I haven't thought about too much, but I can see it have some applications against some decks in the format.
Dude,
you can steal
I'd be
Yami cards in the mirror match,
Isn't
sure, like steal your opponent's Snatchy or something, right?
I remember it was like
help you play through like when they book your board or something, or bounce your board. You can maybe extend with this. Maybe some applications for Spellcard Monster Reborn. I don't hate it. It's like a very budget version of Cult by the Grave, but Cult by the Grave is very good. So maybe a budget Cult by the Grave.
There was a Jurak Fire King.
I think Jurak's probably solid. It goes into the exact same category as Dark Ruler and Lightning Storm. Wouldn't recommend main decking it, but I think for the right matchup, it's a very solid side deck card. Problem once again, extra deck space, right? Like we're looking at some really high quality
extra 75. That's pretty high.
Non-engine cards here in the form of like Izuna, Super Poly, Ultimate Slayer, but all of them require extra deck space and cherries to an extent, right? So like you just can't choose many of them. You have to pick and choose. But I think Ultimate Slayer is a solid card going second. You can definitely do that. Send Herald, add Habakiri. I mean, if you play Mitsu and you want to side Herald against Yami, yeah, that's broken, right? Like you go Ultimate Slayer, send your own Herald of the Arclight. That cooks. Like that's nice. So yeah, definitely has some solid application. I like it. Talents. Talents is an awesome card this format. I like Talents a lot, especially in formats where decks make kind of breakable boards, which I think is the current format. I think Draco Tail, Yami, and Mitsurugi all make boards that can be broken reasonably, even with like strong engine and board breaker hands. Talents is perfect in these kinds of formats because you just like all the options are viable right now. Sometimes you want to take a look at their hand, take out the hand trap so you can keep playing, and it's a good card going first. It's a good card going second. It's quite literally one of the best non-engines in the format right now, which I'm throwing it up there. Mellotronus. Mellotronus is a pretty solid card, I would say. Once again, it is a little bit weird to main deck because you need to play a lot of very specific targets for it. But if you do that, then I guess it's really strong. The reason why I'm definitely putting it in solid is because I think it's a very, very strong card in the Yami Mirror match from what I've heard, because you can use it to negate something and also extend at the same time. So basically the things that I've talked about with Spellcard Monster Reborn, you can do with Mellotronus, but better. You get a body and you negate a body. So I think Mellotronus is pretty solid for that. In other decks, I'm not sure if I would play Mellotronus. Like in Draco Tail or Mitsu or whatever. I don't think Mellotronus outvalues these other cards. But yeah. So what we're left with is like a landscape where some of the best cards in the format are still hand traps, like specifically Ash, the Dominus cards, and Fuba are pretty good. But board breakers they definitely have a spot in this format. I think a mix between some hand traps, Droplet, Thrust, Super Poly, whatever, can be very, very potent. And in general, I also wouldn't be surprised if we see some decks with just in general lower non-engine counts. Like it's completely reasonable to play a deck with like 12 hand traps and like 28 engine or something like that, depending on how strong your engine is. Like for example, Draco Tail. I don't think Draco Tail needs to play like 20 hand traps to compete in this format. You can just play like 9 or 12 and play extra engine, like extra pushes, extra patchwork, extra Cartesia, extra Poly, whatever. Like I think that's realistic. I think it's a pretty interesting format in that sense because you are not forced to play infinite non-engine.
TCG, it's limited.
Of course, there are still decks that can do that. Like Yami, for example, has a lot of non-engine space, but but you're not forced to play those decks. You can play Draco Tail with more engine, you can play Mitsu with more engine, you can play Lunalight, which has a lot of engine. K9 Crystron also doesn't have that much non-engine. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you watched on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed the little bit of a discussion for the new format. Let me know what you think about non-engine choices coming up for YCS Mill and YCS Anaheim.
List.
Until then, hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are headed to 100,000 subscribers. It would really mean a lot to me if we hit that soon-ish. So yeah, show me some support by hitting that subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet. Without further ado, I'll see you next time, Duelist, and thank you for watching.
Okay. Okay, I think I'll do one more. I have Genesis on my mind. I will do one more. One, two. Okay, I don't know why he has JonTron on the thumbnail. The unattainable goals of Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis. The new format isn't a successor to Time Wizard. Alright. He's got an axe to grind, it seems. Alright. So I guess we'll see what Santoli has to say about Genesis.
Hey guys, Santoli here again with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video, this time discussing Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis, so the new format coming out, and basically why I am extremely against this entire new format, which is a bit different.
Damn, alright, that's pretty hard stance.
Devil's advocate against the Doomers. This time I'm dooming, more so for the new format than current, actually, like current a lot right now. But quick overview of what this is if you haven't seen it. So Konami is releasing a new format.
He changed the title? What was the original title? The new format fixes no... Oh, I don't have it. Yes, okay, I thought this was weird. Yeah. It had fixed Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah. The new format fixes nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something like that. I see in the original like post, the title is still there. But yeah. The new format is a successor, which is, I guess, more reasonable. Yeah, okay.
Genesis, which is modifications, basically how the ban list works. So there's no direct ban list. Instead, there are points associated to each card. Some cards may have 0, and you have to build your deck with 100 points max. So it's basically a new format just in terms of the decks that are allowed. Everything else is the same, other than the fact you also can't have link monsters or penalty monsters, and there's no extra monster zone. So it's killing off some of the decks immediately there. And so Konami's goal with this is to go and essentially make a secondary format. They'll have it as a side event for upcoming YCSs, and they're also planning to make a full YCS Genesis format coming out in the new year. And so what are my thoughts on this overall, and why am I against this? And so let's actually look at the goals that Konami lays out and what's the purpose of it, and see how the design that they've created in this new format don't actually accomplish any of the goals. I should preface as well right now, I'm saying this, if you're someone who's excited for this, you probably love Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot, and that's good. This is not a direct comment on the actual format at all, or for people who like this. It's more so that what they're trying to do and have this as a way of getting more players, this format isn't going to do that at all. If you're someone who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! And loves these, just deck building and just playing the game, yeah, it's great. It's, more Yu-Gi-Oh! Is better. So it's not coming towards the people who really like Yu-Gi-Oh! And want to play more. It's more of, what
the reactor
goals are and how this isn't accomplishing at all. So it's a little blurb here on the Konami website talking about what the purpose of this is. And so the main thing is that they're trying to bring back old duelists and trying to get more people to play this game. And so I guess we'll go through the top first. Is just saying they're looking for something new.
I mean, I could buy that. Like, the game is probably still complicated. Links and Pens ban kind of just appeals to people who have already had experience with the game. They just quit because this new change was too drastic, and they didn't want to write it out. Which isn't like a new player, in my opinion. It's, when I think of like a new player, I think of someone fresh. Maybe this is something you get them into, but it's not something they're going to be able to pick up on their own, because the point system is still kind of like, I don't think I believe it actually increases complexity, like because you have to keep track of these point totals. The ban list is kind of annoying. It's not that annoying, but we have, I don't know. It was a hassle to keep track of the ban list when I was first learning. So I can imagine it's something similar with 0.0. Return players are also a thing. Yeah. I don't think it's a Hail making new players. It's about making a fun format. Yeah. I just like yeah. I don't think yeah. I think that's true. Yeah, I don't think it's a Hail me. Yeah. And not seeing so much 2023, 2025 would be legal. Oh yeah.
The duel, got some old friends you'd like to get into dueling again, and they're trying to kind of propose this as an alternative Time Wizard, to have people who don't want to play current come in and play Yu-Gi-Oh! So you're getting rid of links and getting rid of pendulums, make it more friendly to old school players. And so here, what's it for? It's a duelists looking for a less complicated game, duelists who are new to the game, and duelists who have always had a favorite deck and want their favorite deck to be a little more competitive. So these 3 points right now, I'm going to go through each one of these in depth, are completely related to the game. Like this, they may say this new format is going to allow these points to be made, but I disagree with
I guess it could just be like marketing,
so,
though.
Let's start with the first one. Is they're looking for a less complicated game, and the problem with this entire idea is that I don't think it is less complicated at all. Maybe to some degree, so you don't have to learn link summoning or pendulum summoning, but the difficulty from the game doesn't come from the fact that links are a thing. It's not the fact people can understand. Hey, I have a link 1, I have another link 1. I can put both of them in the grave for link 2. That's not where the complexity comes from. The complexity comes from having to understand every deck in depth to be able to hand up.
Yeah, I don't know what makes this more appealing to me than TCG.
Chain blocking, all those types of mechanics.
Yeah.
Understanding battle phase effects.
Moving links but keeping cards with modern power levels probably going to be pretty hard
design
design-wise since they're removing stuff from the top.
If you do mean different things,
yeah,
all
that's,
these
that's
things
true.
are what make the game complicated. It's not some blue card with arrows that people can't understand. People can understand link something. They can't understand all these other things. Older players may say, hey, I didn't like the game when it became link something, it got too complicated. But I think that's more of the game has evolved together. You've had more complicated problem-solving card decks. You have more complicated, games ending quicker and complicated game states where you have to hand up correctly. As links came out, they kind of grew up together, and people may place blame on links, but I don't think it's links summoning that's the problem with the game. And I don't think the game being complicated is a problem either. It's more so for people who dislike the complicated nature of the game, the links aren't the problem. And so when you say that duelists are looking for less complicated game, you should play Genesis, that's not true at all. You still have the exact same Yu-Gi-Oh formats, you've just killed a bunch of decks. You have VS as a functional deck, you have Branded as a pseudo-functional deck, there's other new decks that...
Oh yeah, this was made before the point update. Well. Just to clarify.
These are all modern decks, you still have to know the exact same...
Not that VS isn't functional.
...to play Genesis as you do to play current Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, you've removed link summoning, but again, that's not where the max amount of difficulty comes from. And so I don't agree with the premise at all. This is making the game less complicated. In some sense, it's making it more complicated because a ban list is something very easy for people to understand. These point system is a lot more complicated. You have to go through and really double check and triple check.
Yeah, if there's net decking in place, then yeah, you probably don't have to.
Yes, hopefully we'll have some system that makes it easy to go through and check, but it's not something you can do in your head. If I'm thinking about current, I can go, okay, these cards are banned. I know these cards are banned, and easy to make a deck list. It's not super easy to do in my head.
I guess I'm envisioning when you're starting from scratch, that's like not as obvious.
So in some sense, the game is the same. I think deck building is even more complicated. So then going to the next point is duelists who are new to the game. I don't think this is better for them at all. Again, this is still the same Yu-Gi-Oh game. You still have to learn all the chain links, the problem-solving mechanic, card techs, the understanding of meta decks, how to handle to even get a game. The game is still super
like the concept of net decking when I was first starting out wasn't there.
If your goal is to make a less complicated game and allow new players to enter in through that way, it's not going to work. It's still the exact same game, just a different format.
I started out with building like a piece of shit deck.
Have a favorite deck and want their favorite deck to be a little more competitive. This doesn't work in this format either. This isn't going to.
And it was kind of trial and error because it obviously wasn't legal, and I had to get people to tell me it wasn't legal.
A super diverse format, but I think this is really ignoring the fact of why meta decks and metas in general come to exist. It's because people want to win the game, and so they try to figure out what's best, and then they go and play what's best. And this again isn't.
I was actually really pissed off when I found out a ban list existed. When I was first playing,
trying
I was
to beat
really
the meta,
mad.
being a step ahead is what makes the games interesting. It makes card games interesting.
Because like the concept of the game I had in my head wasn't there. Didn't exist.
Of meta because then I can try to be a step ahead of it.
Okay,
so when you look at this deck,
it's not an Unk thing.
The deck card pool here right now, people may look and say, oh, look, all these decks are now viable. All the good decks are a hit. But the thing is, it's only like this because we haven't actually sat down and tried to establish a meta. After the first event, second event, people will very quickly understand what the best decks are, and we'll still have the exact same issue we did in current. And again, if you consider it an issue that there's not a diversity of decks. You still have the issue that if you had a favorite deck from years ago, there's a very good chance it's not valid. And like I said, we've run this experiment in Master Duel. If you want to go and look at Master Duel, they've run Synchro Cups and XYZ Cups where you have a different set of valid card pool. You have to play.
I was wondering why he had the Synchro Cup tabs.
As well as they kill some of the generic ones like Lab and Flu. I don't know what specifically for each cup, but so you can't just run these generic main deck boss monster based decks in these cups as well. And so, you know, on the surface level, you say, oh, this is great. They killed a lot of the top tier decks, and now we can go and play, you know, my favorite Synchro deck from 5 years ago. The thing is, it doesn't work. In some sense, it's actually a worse format because the fact that you have less of the viable top decks there, and then, you know, think of the meta as layers. So you have, you know, the power level of 2022, power level of 2023, power level of 2024. When you just go and take out pieces of that layer, the top layer is still there. The decks from 2025 that didn't get hit are still there. They're still going to dominate. And if you have less of them, then it's just going to dominate harder because there's less things to compete with them. If you remove those, you haven't made the game super more diverse. You've just now taken that top layer off, and now you have the exact same thing with the 2024 decks occur. And so when looking at the Synchro Cup, we see that, you know, 70% of the top 100 metagame was Fishtrunk. And so it wasn't this super interesting, ooh, I can play all my favorite Synchro decks. No, it's still just a normal metagame that developed. Again, this isn't a problem, but if your goal is to say, hey, we can go and take your favorite decks and they'll be playable in a competitive environment, it's not. They may be, but this is from sheer chance. I go, it's not making a super diverse metagame just because you've changed the rules. It makes it diverse early on, but once it's solved, it just goes back to the same problems of current. Again, if you consider them problems. XYZ Cup was the same thing. Look at this. 80% was either Fire King or Pearly. And again, this is Fire King without any links. So it's still them just playing all XYZs and extra deck and just playing standard Fire King. So the idea that you now have suddenly a diverse format is just wrong. And so I think the entire goal of this format isn't going to be accomplished at all. It's not a better format for new players at all. It's not something that's going to get people playing. It's just a reskin of Yu-Gi-Oh! And so is this a problem in the sense? And no, it's not a bad thing. The 3 points down here were true. If you're someone who likes a change of pace, if you love deck building, or you just love dueling, like yes, if you love Yu-Gi-Oh! More Yu-Gi-Oh! Is good. It's going to be interesting. You can play a different format, and there's no problem with that. But the problem I have is that Konami, I think, is trying to expand their player base using Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis, and it's not going to work. The people who are going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis are the people who are just playing current. If you're someone who
that's fair, I kind of agree with that.
This is not the format.
Or like not just playing current, but like familiarity with the modern game.
This format where you sit down,
or like not the modern game, but like
years ago,
pretty recent.
Start playing, and then your opponent turns you goes.
I mean, I don't know what I call Pendulum's recent. That was like 10 years ago.
Like, oh, always do special summon raise in effect. Like no, the game
but it's not like
super,
old
super
school
quick.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's still current Yu-Gi-Oh. And so if they're trying,
which is
to
what
have
most new players are
older
familiar
formats
with.
For Time Wars, it's not. The big difference is the pace of the game. Time Wars format are slow games. You have these long 20-turn plus games. The turns are quick. This is not what this format is. It's still current card pool. The games are still going to be
people
fast.
are going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. I think that's like
current player base.
His point,
now,
no. Even I don't know if that's supposed to be worded to make him sound silly,
the issue
but
I have is when you start taking actual events that could be
like I think the idea of like new players. He's disputing the idea of new players.
And so if you
in.
just have this as a cool side event thing, yeah, by all means. Have it. I think if they've supplied decks or had outlined decks,
like the only people who care that there's YCS for this are Yu-Gi-Oh players who are already invested in the game.
Maybe that's a really good way to have a second.
New players aren't going to give a shit about that.
The problem is when you're going and now taking up spots from what should be regular YCS. Now this is where I'm going to come back and say this is now I don't dislike this format and going to critique a bit harder on them because you're not going to have more players. The current players may go, they may not go. I likely will not go. We'll see how the format is, whatnot. But you're just going to have a smaller size YCS for no real reason. The goals of this entire second A format aren't realistic at all. And so that's kind of where my criticisms are coming from. I think this is just a result of Konami trying to introduce new players and not really understanding why people shy away from current, not understanding the appeal of older formats, and just trying to force something that other TCGs have done. And I also point out that Magic, I think, is the main other game with
players. You have more than getting new players.
I'm ignorant in terms of how much they love it over there, but I definitely have heard complaints as well, trying to play multiple formats.
It depends.
The other thing I want to point out with this as well is
I disagree with that in general.
Talking about how YCS got replaced, or one YCS got replaced.
But I don't think player retention means they need to interface
So
with the game at a YCS level or anything like that. I think buying packs is probably what
so we're either going to lose
Konami would want.
I'm going to be upset because I'm losing more playtime for a format that, you know, in my opinion,
for their bottom line. And you want new not like new players, but like
local events.
People outside of the dedicated, because you can
local attends because it's being split over multiple days.
The dedicated player base is going to retain themselves.
On the own player base without
there are people who are going to like get shaved off little by little.
So that's overall my take.
But
I think this is a very, very stupid idea. I think that again, if you like this format and you're excited,
Konami can do a lot. We can put up with a lot more bullshit that Konami, and then like someone who's just like
the longevity of the game,
not familiar.
Do anything if they try pushing it any further than just this cool secondary format. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this format in the comments below. And until next time, guys.
They should retain some bitches. Okay. I think I'll have to think about this one. Angry Jesse. It wasn't as completely doomer as I thought. But I think I just need to digest it. Because the format is shit from a butt. There's still dedicated players though. Do you guys okay? You don't realize that okay? What do you think a new player? What is the profile of a new player? Because by definition, casual players don't spend that much time on the game in general. All right, like. At most, generally, I usually expect like a casual player to jump in when there's a login campaign and then kind of just like jump out because there's like a bunch of other games vying for their attention, or like there's just other activities to do with their time. Like it's more complicated than being like, oh, Steam charts is bleeding players, because like I feel like people don't really have a like well-rounded profile of who actually like plays the game. Only new players will actually new hyper focusing on the game. That's kind of how I see it. Like if you stick with the game, you're for like long periods of the time, you're no longer part of that like profile. Like I don't know. It just this conversation is very difficult to have because people just assume that sticking with a game is playing it. But this is like a live service game. There's no ending or complete. You know what's kind of funny? I finally completed Persona 3 Reload. You would assume people who purchase Persona or like who would purchase a game would complete it, right? That would be a reasonable thing. But I saw like the Steam charts or like the achievements for Persona 3 Reload. Maybe it's not the best example because it's like a very long game. But like only like 30% of people have completed that. But I would still count people who've at least invested like maybe like, you know, I don't know, Persona game is very lengthy, but like 5 hours or 10 hours, someone who actually like purchased the game and like, you know, interface with it. It's also a remake. Yeah, but it's like a percentage of the people who actually, you know, I started due to the Nike collab, yeah. A new player sees the football collab and think Neymar is in the game, they quit when they find out it's... No, I feel like the new player retention isn't really realistic. I mean, actually, I've seen some people pick up the game, but they've always had someone help them, you know? There was like someone who just got Malice for the vibes. And but they don't play that regularly either. They still like play the game, but maybe like I don't know. I just think of I started to do Fumoco. A lot of these games you get they start on which is legitimately a good time to start. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to me because like when Ludwig started like doing the tournament and all that stuff, people expected like the game to just like blow up or something, as if like them spending time on the game on like their tournament or whatever bullshit Ludwig was on wasn't like already like a reasonable amount to, I don't know, like I think they got what they thought their time out of it, you know. Which Ludwig? The big streamer one. This Ludwig. Yeah, I don't know. This guy. People expected him to like be a hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh player after this. What, dude? This guy plays like a bunch of random rage games and then moves on to the next one. I got it because my friend told me he was in his predatory Duel Links. That's good. That's good. Good. Ludwig the Holy Bag. Ludwig van Beethoven. There's someone that joined during Snake Eyes One World next year. Are you talking about Kahan? Julian Kahan? That guy's crazy. That's pretty impressive. He stuck with League of Legends? That's fair, yeah. Yeah, if he's stuck with I don't know what this is about. Yeah, I don't know. My idea of someone who's like casually in the game, I don't know. I just expect people to just go into logins, get their stuff, maybe play a few games. I don't know, Bat Chess, Blue Eyes Anniversary, and then hop off or something. League's probably easier to get into. I don't know anything about League. I'll just take your word for it. I'm playing on that. I got to enter a code. Okay, I'll give you my code. I'll give you my code. Actually, I have to. That means I have to open up Master Duel. Fuck. Jack, I laced your shit. Fuck. Here, I'll. I don't know. I have viewers too who like don't open up Master Duel. Just live vicariously. Not just my viewers, but there's viewers in this chat that probably just live vicariously through streamers playing Master Duel too. Enter the. I enter right my heart. That's a good one to remember. All right, you can take magics. On the good. I'm forgetting you got noise. Wait, that's so easy to remember. Fuck off. Literally like 4 unique digits. Wait, 3 unique digits. And then 1 letter. The first letter of the alphabet. Help me enter the code and you and I get rewards. Can I release code? One of the rewards in a structural deck of sorts. I take it? Okay. Alright, yeah. Good job. Okay, now I'm closing Master Duel. Congrats. Alright. Fuck off. Okay, actually, I see Northern Line. I must click. And by that, I mean I literally linked this. Oh yeah, 365 like days of the year. Acting like you just did fucking... did some crazy... Bro, that's just like my dad's like fucking login. Okay. Fighting Game Pro reacts to Northern Lion and 2xKO. I actually have no idea. I did watch Northern Lion play 2xKO. He seemed like he was cooking. I did hear 2xKO is a little bit easier. There's no motion inputs. I don't know if that makes the game easier or not. I kind of, when I learning fighting games, I did struggle doing. I actually still struggle. Well, what I struggle with is like the Shoryuken input, but backwards. I can't do I can do motion inputs on one side of the screen, but I never got enough practice to do it on the other side, which is like, I heard 2KO fucking sucks. Damn. All right. Okay, I had to come back, but I couldn't figure it out. Oh yeah, KBJ, are you streaming YCS Lil? I will not be, but I'm just curious if you are. So I have somebody somebody to leech off of. I mean, watch. Shout out Northern Lion. Props? Okay, yeah. I don't like, I'm not asking to be part of anything. I just need someone who's not Josh. Yeah, I'll just watch you. La 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 la. All right. Shout out Northern Lion. True. You gotta help out the smaller streamers. Nah, KVJ's the GOAT for helping me out.
You guys ready for some extremely low quality React Andy type content? Hell yeah.
Yo!
So if you don't know, I'm Broski. I'm a professional fighting game player. I have been competitively playing fighting games for a depressingly long time. I'm primarily a Street Fighter player. I've won Street Fighter League. I qualified for Capcom Cup. I've been invited to Rebel Kumite.
He's the one who
and today
introduced me
I am
to
going be
Buh
watching
and Orm.
Northern Lion play some
and
2XKO and giving kind of
Eater.
my thoughts on it as a competitive fighting game player. Also, I guess I should mention that I'm actually a very long time NL fan. I actually used to watch NL's videos. Like,
Dude, I used to
8+
watch so
years
much
ago when
NL.
He was exclusively a Binding of Isaac YouTuber, pretty much. I used to watch his
I
Binding of Isaac
don't
content
like
a lot.
watching NL live though. I don't know what it is. Actually, at the time he had ads. Who's Northern Lion? Who owns this lion of Northern descent? But what I like about Northern Lion, he like finds some random goofy indie game and then blows it the fuck up. Was he the one who blew up Balatro? I know for sure he blew up Super Auto Pets. I learned about NL through a friend. I still haven't watched him just to troll. I feel like if you learn about NL through a friend, you probably aren't gonna watch NL. You probably aren't gonna watch NL if you learned it from someone else. I feel like you're gonna be sent like the most incomprehensible Northern Lion clip and expected to laugh. Like you know how like I don't know, a coworker makes you watch like 7 minutes of a video and you're just supposed to like nod along and be like, that's how I feel what it is to introduce Northern Lion to other people, because he is a funny guy. He blew up Super Robert. I didn't even know about him back then. Yeah, he did. That was him. That's probably exactly what happened. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Like Northern Lion is extremely funny, but I don't know. I just feel like you can't like. I don't know. It's just like it's not just him. It's just like you just share some video, like some Twitch clip, and you're just gonna expect somebody to be like, "Oh, I'm a fan of XQC now." Like that. I just don't think that happens. I don't think that ever happens. I think Northern Lion has to show up on your fucking YouTube feed, some clip, or Twitter, or something like that. Sometimes people can't even tell if he's like joking or rage baiting either. So you also have to pass that barrier. Where are you getting Southern Lion and wears a cowboy hat and lives in Texas? That's true. Yeah. We need this.
So this should be fun. Long time NL fan. First time React Andy, you know?
I do kind of think I'm a fighting game guy. I'm like a... You know how there were probably...
I got sent to Clover. You seem kind of goated to be up. Okay, to be fair.
Insanely good drivers, but driving didn't exist, so they like wasted their potential their whole lives. I think that's kind of me with fighting games.
Okay.
Not played that
You're right. Never mind.
So much of Smash 64.
I take it back.
And I'm not trying to intellect mod you, but I derived the concept of mix-ups and stuff like that. I derived them from base principles.
That's crazy. He's reverse engineered fighting game concepts. You know what? There's actually people like that. I have played people in Street Fighter who have got very good at that game without ever actually like formally learning the rules of Street Fighter. They just learn through trial and error. Like I once had a guy who's like one of the best Street Fighter players.
I don't consider myself super good at UMVC3, but I played so much of it that like if you start talking to me in number notation, I just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But like I just played enough to be able to like just like if you bring up jargon about like frames and shit like that, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But if you start talking about like the moves or whatever, or like the combos or something, I'll at least be able to follow that. But don't look Reggie, look in the Discord. Oh hell nah. What the fuck is this? It's not bad actually. It's like what the excuse me? Can I activate last turn if my opponent is allowed to special summon? Answer. A great question. Since effects that instruct a player to perform a special summon after the resolution have changed in form and function since 2003. This card hasn't seen print in 20 years, but based off the impressive volume of rules Q&A this card generated back in the day, if we wrote it today, this card would probably say something like, immediately after his effect resolved, your opponent special summons. Effects that special summon cannot be activated if the player that must perform the summon is not allowed to. So no, you cannot. Me doing your mom. They nerfed last turn? That's crazy. Also out of a... This is like a Genesis. question too, right? This looks like this is so weird. What about Last Will? What's going to happen to Last Will? Someone ask about that. As he started to answer with horrible questions. Stupid. That's crazy. Okay, maybe that's one good thing to come out of Genesis. Man,
in Europe in my
horrible
chat,
questions. Stupid.
And I was like talking to him, and I said like, your delay tech timing is really hard to predict. And he said, what? And I said,
yeah, if you start talking like this shit about UMVC3 with me, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know what the fuck these fucking fighting game concepts are. I should play UMVC3 again, but I'm so ass. You see my APM, guys. Why didn't we check my mods? Comedy summoned the floodgate with last turn? So this doesn't... Really? I assumed this was the Jowgen combo. Like, where you summon Jowgen? Oh, wait, this question doesn't even... Oh, you're right. This means, like, if Jowgen's already on the field. At least the question seems to imply that the special summon card that's being prevented is already on the field, so you can't even flip it face up. Rather than... Yeah, no, I think... Okay. Never mind. Orm. Yeah,
it's really hard to predict. And he said, I don't know what that means. I realized he had learned a really core defensive technique in Street Fighter purely through vibes and through experience and trial and error. Like, he'd reverse engineered something that is like understood by all the pro players in a more formal way. So there are some people who can like just kind of learn fighting games and create existing concepts just through experience. But not everyone. Not everyone can do that.
There's no way he's actually...
I would like to point out this comment.
Just through experience, but not everyone. Not everyone can do.
I don't know if my Fugi's blocking it, but there's a person saying that's weirdly attractive in response to hearing this information.
There's no way he's actually playing 2xKO, right? You know it's free, right? There's like 0 barrier to entry.
That's so true. This is what, if anything is going to make 2xKO a success, just to slightly go off topic a little bit, if anything is going to work for this game's favor, it's the fact that it's free. Like, literally the reason that NL is playing this game, as far as I know, is just that like it was a free entry. I think so many people are going to try.
You just need a login.
That's one of the game's like strongest selling points. I mean, selling point as in $0, you know?
It's only on PC? Yeah, okay. If you run Linux, that's fine. But if you're the type of person that runs Linux, stop pretending that you're going to play a Riot fighting game. This shit has like kernel level anti-cheat, bro. There's no shot. If you're the type of beast that's going to run Linux, you can't be complaining about not playing 2xKO. Obviously, it goes against your principles, and it goes against your principles at a much lower reward than running Windows. So why are you pretending that you were going to play it? It doesn't. You should be stoked, man. You should be like yet another reason to not get Windows.
I mean, look, I've had a lot of people in my YouTube comments telling me about
yeah, Multiversus had that going for it.
Anti-cheat, what's it called? Vanguard.
My friend and I picked it up.
And I totally get that. Like, if you don't want to get this game because of the Vanguard stuff, then I completely understand.
I think we fell off,
though. Fighting games on Linux.
It wasn't even like the game was bad or anything. We just like found other things to do.
They announced Street Fighter 5 was going to get a Linux port back in like 2016.
That's why I'm not playing 2xKO.
And it never materialized, and they just quietly stopped mentioning it. Well, I mean, I think it was SteamOS specifically, but SteamOS is basically Linux. Anyway.
I thought you didn't like fighting games other than that chess one. The thing is, I can tell...
Oh, the chess fighting game, Mark? Oh, dude, okay, that's actually... Okay, I'll link that video. That was actually really funny to see Northern Lion. He wasn't doing too bad. Yeah, he had like a bunch of videos on Checkmate. Yeah, Checkmate Showdown. Okay, I don't know. Bro doesn't number his fucking videos, so I don't know. This game was sick. He was cooking a little bit.
Is the fighting game community, man. I can tell from the way you got EX on the end of your name.
He hates the FGC.
He hates the FGC community. That's the barrier to entry, man. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just that there's like any community, like as they get more and more insular, they throw up walls. That's inevitably what they do.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm linking that video. I know exactly.
They're like, I'm a fighting gamer. Like, I'm a fighting gamer. They're like, I'm a Tekken gamer. I'm a Blaze Blue gamer. I'm a Street Fighter gamer. And they...
It's just so true. Honestly, so true. That's a big plus too. Like, one of the biggest things that we do in the FGC is we love to like subdivide into like, I'm not a gamer, I'm a member of the FGC. I'm not a member of the FGC, I'm a Tekken player. Like, we love to like group everyone for some reason in this community. That's a very real thing.
I'm not too familiar with the FGC. I don't really interact with them.
Am I a fighting gamer? No, I'm just a guy who plays some games, man.
Okay, that said, speaking of the FGC, I assume they all live on Twitter. There's a Northern Lion clip that went viral where he basically is like people are still responding to it. Let me see if I can find it. I I think I have it on hand. People are still responding to this one. Oh yeah, I found it. Yeah, fighting game player talk like a normal person challenge. Okay. People are so mad at this. I mean, the first part, I will say the first part is pretty reasonable. The second part is I can't tell if he's memeing or baiting.
Dash up MH forward H. What the fuck does that mean? What is this? What is 6H? What the hell is 6H? Think of a number pad? How about you think of the light of the Lord and bask in it and then talk like a normal person? One is up, go counterclockwise. I'm gonna keep making fun of you. I'm sorry. I know that like what you're saying makes sense in the community that you're in, but this is not that community. So now you're just talking like a crazy person. So someone has to make fun of you. Someone has to make fun of you a little bit. That's insane. We're talking like normal people here for the most part.
You're Northern Ireland Street Fighter 4 player.
Except when we do like gay Bob Dylan. Assists will help you jump in safely more. Is it the entire fighting game community is following the Socratic method, or is it like was there like a annual general meeting where they decided to talk in such a way that you derive the conclusion yourself instead of giving you actionable feedback? The way I'm gonna translate your text. Your text was, assists will make your jump in more consistent. My translation, I'm gonna lint it. As I jump, press
like
X.
a Pokemon.
As I jump, press X. It sounds cleaner. I need you to go Sean Parker.
I think he's
mode on.
played Smash. I think there was one more, but
Play some games. Blitzcrank is the most like DK. I'm gonna make fun of you. I'm sorry. I'm gonna make fun of you until you talk like normal people, man. I haven't even started playing the game yet. I have to make fun of you until you start talking like a normal person. I haven't even played. I don't know what the hell Blitzcrank is, man. I have no idea. Just relax.
This is, by the way, just to pause this real quick. This guy is braver than the troops, or trying to.
You
learn
play
a
C
fighting
Viper?
game
That's
without
awesome.
being
C Viper's
seated by
pretty.
Twitch chat. I've seen so many like
seems kind of
variety
hard.
streamers try and get into fighting
I
games,
don't.
and Twitch
I
chat
remember
is
my
trying
friend
to, I guess they're
showing
trying to
me
help, but
some
I
like
don't
C
think
Viper
I've ever
combos.
seen a genre where Twitch chat makes up more bullshit than fighting games ever. Like I was watching Tyler One was recently learning Street Fighter 6 for one of his streams, and he was asking chat for advice on like basic stuff, and people were giving him the worst advice I have ever seen. And they were saying it with such confidence as well. Like Tyler One would be like, "Oh, I keep getting jumped in on chat. What do I do?" And chat would, and like the obvious answer is like use a DP, you know, use a Shoryuken anti-air. But like chat would be like, "Oh yeah, you can't actually anti-air that character because he's got too much priority." I mean, that sounds like a real thing if you don't know anything about the
He
game.
was streaming
If you do know
okay at
stuff
his job.
about
He
Street Fighter 6, that
committed
makes
the
no
ultimate
fucking
sin when he
sense.
called
But,
out
like,
Backseat.
that is a very
Backseat
common
tried to
thing.
get him to throw.
So like
but
you're
he got
honestly
timed
braver
out
than the troops
instead.
trying to learn a
Framed
fighting
for
game
breaking
with
TOS
the assistance of
and
Twitch
being
chat.
banned
It's
on
not
every
easy.
platform. Now he streams on
It's kind of boring
entertaining
in
outlaws.
principle to do this, but it sets you up for actually
What
having a
is
good
the
foundation.
context of
I
that?
feel like I should pick a character, go to training mode, and then one of you should
Someone's
tell me two
actually
combos
trolling
that
him.
work well with this character, and then I practice them until I have them in my memory, and then I can go online and be like, this is where I release this combo. That's called bread and butter, unironically.
That's true.
You don't deserve to be made fun of for that, because you actually
Living
presented an audit.
out-
You took some of the
Louis asking
terminology
bread.
from your insular community, and you said, hey, I'm going to explain this. I'm not going to hit you with an 8-letter acronym and just act like you're the idiot for not knowing what it was. I'm going to give you an olive branch and say, this is what bread and butter is. Is there meat and potatoes too? That's an interesting question. If you got all four.
We should start calling it that. That's a good idea. We need to start calling it meat and potatoes
Heavy down,
combos.
heavy, jump forward, air heavy, air special is pretty easy. Damn, I gotta write this shit down. I gotta write this
Oh, okay.
Oh, I mog you! If I ever
He mugged me. What can I say? He mugged me. See, this is the thing. This is why fighting games have so much potential to get people. We've all been there, folks. If you like fighting games, you've all had that moment where you land your first combo, even if it's just something as simple as like ground series, launcher, air series special. Like, obviously that's not a complicated combo, but like the dopamine hits when you land your first combo. And for some people, landing that first combo will drastically alter the course of your life. Like that, the trajectory of your life will change because you landed your first combo.
land that, it's over, bro. It's over.
I refuse to play
You can also
2KO
do
until
the
they
super
add
twice.
Yumi. All right, do I even? Who is Yumi? Yumi, LOL. League. It's a cat. Didn't know you were passionate about cats.
Oh, he's using double.
How until
I was
Duelist
gonna
Cup
say,
starts?
if I
I
just
think
do that,
in
like,
4 hours.
I might be a stud. I might be a stud if I just do that.
So just to give a quick breakdown for people who don't play this game, this game has what's called fuses. Fuses are like different ways of like changing the system mechanics. So you pick your two characters.
That sounds derogatory.
Double down, and double down is probably not the most beginner friendly of the fuses. Like I recommend if you're brand new to this
and
game
watching
and tag fighters in general, there are beginner oriented fuses like Sidekick and Juggernaut. I think it's cool that he's decided to start learning the game with both characters. Like he's not gone for the beginner bait, you know.
But then we got one problem because I got to figure out.
Oh, the show's called Renegade. Okay, I can already.
But this time,
I can already tell like the opening when it says a renegade. The fucking title screen shows up and there's like it shines. I don't know, like the lighting. It lights up for a second. Oh my god! I haven't seen this, but
you do special 2 in the air. And then you would simply double down.
Attach it to another character and can't be attacked in any way, and also doesn't need a move. I see.
Like this.
Okay.
Ruin your life, and then hit you with something like that.
Yeah, he's picking it up quick.
And then when they get up, hit him. When they bounce, you hit him with something like that. Then you're on the other side, and you go like this.
He's getting it.
I don't want to be on the right side. I don't want to be on the right side.
Oh yeah, it's not too bad in this game because this game doesn't use motion inputs, but a lot of the time in fighting games, people will only grind in training mode from the player 1 side, i.e. the left-hand side. So it's very common when people first start a game that they do not like doing stuff on the right-hand side because that's not like the default side, but you need to be able to do stuff on both sides.
I just say it's so hard being a word cell in a world of shape rotators. Because I know in your head, if you're a shape rotator, you're probably like,
I don't know what he means.
But you know what my brain does? My brain goes square, triangle, circle, down, circle, up, triangle, circle, L2. L2 square, L2 square. And sometimes...
Okay, so this is actually a really important thing to bring up. One of the hardest things about getting started with fighting games
is
is
translating
in your head the buttons on your controller to the input notation in the game. And I struggled with this as well when I first started playing fighting games. I would see someone be like, oh, that combo you do light punch, heavy punch. And I would have to manually translate that and be like, oh, you mean like square, square, R1. I would have to convert notation between the game and what's on my controller. The good thing is that the more you do it, the more it just becomes natural and you start to adjust. But definitely when you're new, it can be very daunting when you want to learn like a basic combo and you see a bunch of letters and you look at your controller and you think, oh, there's no LMH button on my controller.
If they block LMH, you got to do assist. Okay, you know what? I think that's probably great advice.
Oh, he's jumping into a match?
Let me get the bread and butter
already
first, and then
where's the Xbox inputs?
Let's work it out. For now, I've got to get the bread and butter locked so that it's like the same way, like if a squirrel goes out in front of me, I don't have to think like, oh, I have to hit the brakes. I just go bread and butter, swerve around it, quick little 360, peel rubber in the other direction.
Yeah. Does it just come?
I don't know why.
This funny. Like,
I played UMVC 3, Ultimate Marvel Capcom 3 on the Xbox, and it felt
I need
weird.
to come up with a little
I switched to FPS.
How it feels to do something naturally, and then he just instantly comes up with a bit where he's like veering around a squirrel while driving. 10,000 hours of talking to yourself. It's impressive. It's a skill.
I need to get that down in the cerebellum. Right now it's in the cerebrum. I need it in the brainstem.
Let's go.
Okay, so he's done something amazing right from the back, or right from the start. He's put me on my back foot. Not gonna happen.
Okay.
Okay, honestly get broken. You're pissing me off.
Okay, he's bursting. Interesting. I wasn't even sure if he knew how to burst. He bursted the combo, but then he gets counter bursted.
They used a break on me. That's like not even fair. After I hit the bread and butter, you use a break on me.
Okay. He's doing it, you know? A lot of people...
Okay, I've ruined your life. What's next?
A lot of people will jump into training mode as a beginner. They will learn a combo, like a really simple combo. Then they will jump into a real match and just instantly forget how to do anything and just start mashing buttons at random. He seems to be pretty easily adjusting to doing it in real matches, you know?
You need anti-air? VS badge spotted? That's not what I asked. I asked you to teach me the buttons. It seems like a lot of people seem to be like, here's the mindset shift you need. You're literally talking to like a new driver, and you're saying, here's the mindset you should be in while driving. I need to know how to shift gears. I need to know what...
This is a huge problem. This is a problem that I have as well. Because here's the thing. I have been playing fighting games for, I don't know, like 16 years at this point. And that means that after a while,
Super Pat.
because I spend all my time surrounded by other fighting game players, I forget what it's like to be a beginner. So I will use terms that people will understand because I just assume they're, you know, universal knowledge. So like a beginner will be like, oh, what do I do when my opponent keeps mashing? And I'll be like, oh, you've got to just like frame trap them so they can't like beat your wake up options. And then I'll realize they have no fucking clue what the hell I just said. Like I might as well just be speaking a different language. It's really important. If we want to make the FGC more accessible for beginners, we really have to think more about the words we choose. Assume they start out from zero knowledge and work from there, you know?
What do you hold down and what letter do you put the gear shift on in order to make the car start to move? Can you browse the move list? Yes, but I would have no idea.
Yo, what's up?
Like I could see the moves, but I don't.
Did stream treat you well?
Here's the thing, okay?
Were you playing Master Duel?
It's like Purge gamers with the patch notes in Dota. There's no purpose for me to look at the move list or look at the patch notes. I need someone who knows what they're doing to look at the patch notes and be like, holy shit, they drastically overbuffed this thing. I need an interpreter to go through the machine code and lint it and then tell me what to do.
That's interesting.
So the move list is nothing for me. I need someone to be like, ignore those moves, do these moves in this sequence.
Yeah,
is that you in the top left?
This is one thing that Tekken does well when it comes to teaching newcomers, right? So most games will have a move list, and it will just say, here's a list of all of this character's moves, and maybe a little bit of information about all their properties, but it doesn't tell you how to use them, generally speaking, or like even why you would want to use them. So like one thing that Tekken does that most other games don't do is if you go to the move list, it will give you like starting moves. Like basically the idea is if you are a beginner and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, these 10 moves out of the 150 on the move list.
It's a complete fabrication, but I have to roll
I
on
don't think
with
Tekken
it.
in general is good at teaching beginners, but that one feature is
Not
definitely
true,
the thing
but
I
we
think
won.
most
All
games should
right.
have.
The odds are
Wait
stacked
a second,
against
wait a
you.
second.
That sucks,
Wait a
man.
second, wait a second.
What were you playing?
Nice combo.
Guys, we're alive. We won. We won a round.
I love how excited he is.
He's like, how did that not hit? How did that not hit? How did that not hit, bro? How did that not hit? I guess I should have not been taunting. I should have been doing the next part of my combo. Break it somehow.
You got no burst, you can't break it. Oh. Clutch.
Guys, I own him. I own him! We won a round. I'm not sure. I'm just being real with you.
This is how fighting games get you. This is what I'm saying. You land that first ever combo in training mode, and the dopamine starts flooding into your brain, and then you get your first win in a ranked match. You beat an actual human being. The dopamine comes rushing back. It's like drugs. He's beginning to believe, exactly. This is why I love fighting games. I feel like they're just so rewarding. And the other thing is, you can actually be like, I personally outplayed that guy. It's not like a team effort. It's not like I got a bad score, but my teammates picked up the slack. You get to be like, I outplayed you. And that is a very addictive thing. Oh, nice. Got the Steam version?
So there may have been a little mashing going on there, but it worked.
It worked.
It worked.
You know? We take those.
Horrible. Gotta be a break. Then it's instantly into that. Stay on him.
Okay.
Fair enough. Jump in on me. Guys, I don't know what happened. I've been possessed.
You're my Gemini with me spin? Awesome.
When I did that, when I saw him go like this, and I just did that shit in my brain, it did not read the string in my brain. It just went, do the combo, do the combo.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Dang, that's hella gas.
That is another, like, I'm trying to like remember all of these like milestones that happen when you're first learning fighting games. You land your first combo in training mode, you win your first match. One of the best feelings after that, like the next hurdle, is when it's automatic. When you do something in a fighting game and you aren't even thinking about doing it. Like your hands just take the wheel, muscle memory kicks in. Like you're not even thinking I should do X or Y consciously, it just happens. And it's such a cool feeling when you just let muscle memory take over.
Dang, Ultra
I don't know
Instinct.
what I've done. I've swapped to you.
Okay, attack cancel.
But I've swapped to you instead. No harm, no fucking foul. No harm, no fucking foul.
Nice.
Guys, there's something in there.
I think when you know that muscle memory.
I don't know if it's. Didn't I?
I think one thing that happened a lot while I was learning fighting games is like some people. Okay, the people I played against, obviously, like not many people, really do this. Like they'll do raw supers, right? But the only reason why it works is because like it has this big ass animation and like you kind of want to run away. But I think one of the coolest things that would happen like was me being able to like, because once you realize that you can, if you do raw super, it's bad because if you can do like a invincible, unless it has invincible startup, you can interrupt it. So like playing enough. Okay, again, the example is people who use raw supers. All right, so it's not the best example, but like that's just the people I played against. But being able to like muscle memory counter them, like you do like you feel you just hit them, and then okay they stop doing it after a while, but it was nice. It reminds me of wrestling and MMA with the Sasuke beating an individual. Nice. You also get an entire night to tell them to hold back. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. You can just hold back. Yeah, that's true.
Daigo at Evo.
Oh, he knows Daigo. Okay.
Daigo at Evo.
I guess everyone knows Daigo. I guess that I shouldn't be surprised. I was gonna say I shouldn't be surprised people know Daigo. Like as long as you're like vaguely aware of gaming stuff, you've probably seen Moment 37. That is the most famous clip of all time. Oh yeah, that's right. Someone did tell me that he played a little bit of Street Fighter 4, so I guess he was aware of.
But no, it feels so rewarding when you like interrupt.
Like people are gonna be watching this video. They're gonna be questioning my credentials. This was UFA a week ago. Oh, look at that one. Well. This is how I get the NL fans on board. Remember that guy Daigo from the parry video? Also, Nassim beat Punk. That was crazy.
Grabs your cat girl.
Grabs your cat girl. Speaking of Street Fighter, Darius's voice actor is Ryu's voice actor.
Wait, what the fuck?
Flux, there's no shame in.
No way. He does. You know what? Hold on. Oh yeah, let's close that. Close that. There's no way. What the fuck? Kyle Herb. Orm. There's no way. Nah. Nah. Let's just see. Dubs. Video games. Okay, okay, okay. Nah. Oh, hell nah. No, my God. He does kind of sound like him, but that's just hindsight.
To the goat, Plux. There's no shame in losing to the goat. What? I don't even know who's who, man. I'm trying to. What? I don't even know that's a move.
Yeah, tag games can get pretty overwhelming. This is why tag games are some of the most difficult to learn of all fighting games, is because you've got to keep track of so much shit on the screen. You can have like 4 characters flying around doing attacks, and keeping track of what is going on is a difficult barrier for entry in these games.
It seems like I might actually be the best to ever do it. It seems like I might be the best to ever do. I might be the best 2XKO player on Earth.
I mean, you know, he might have it. I would run that by, you know, I'd run that by Sonic Fox. I'd run that by Super Noon. I'd run that by Mystic Smash first, but maybe the best player ever.
I even added an extra hit that time.
You beat someone who locks spell and traps and special summons?
Oh, new BMB.
What'd you do? How'd you break the lock?
Okay.
Probably, I know I'm biting the shit out of my lips, man.
Oh, bro, this is, oh my God, I've never heard anyone's mention this, but like, sometimes this still does happen to me. When I was really locked into a fighting game, like really stressed out, I would bite my lips like crazy. I used to have to always make sure that I had like chapstick with me whenever I played a game, because I would like unconsciously bite my lips during intense moments. You clench your jaw. I've seen a lot of them. If you ever watch a tournament, sometimes it's funny to pay attention to the player cams, because when players are really stressed during a tournament set and the webcam is in their face, people are making crazy expressions.
How much information did you just lose to learn that combo? I couldn't tell you.
I have to open up Master Duel.
Just kidding.
I just closed it after.
He can't help himself, folks. Folks, if there's one thing I know about NL, is that he cannot help himself from dropping some information about the worst mid-2000s movie you have ever seen in your life. He's a movie buff, in the same way that Greg from On Cinema at the Cinema is a movie buff, you know?
The world's first fighting game player who doesn't watch anime. Stop shooting me. Okay, okay.
I guess I could open up Master Duel now.
You're not, like...
You would get along with a friend of mine.
Just give me your information. But I just won't get to it until after the video.
That might be bad. I was just doing a move. Okay, fair enough.
Getting zoned out by Jinx. Yeah, this is a big wall. Learning to beat people who zone. That's gonna drop, yeah.
Bring me back to life. Bring me back to life, don't kill me.
Evanescence.
Okay, this person's pissing me off. This person is pissing me the fuck off.
I'm getting the impression he does not like being zoned.
I'm sure you would.
Not that anyone likes being zoned, but this is a key component of fighting games. Some characters are designed to keep you out and never let you get close.
That was something. That was the start.
And it can be very frustrating if you don't have the tools to deal with it.
For sure. This is definitely getting blocked. I can't believe I wasn't grabbed. I was grabbed. Guys, I have no solution. I have no solution for this.
Are you winning, son?
Unfortunately,
how are you reacting?
Learning to very slowly and defensively approach your opponent is not a fun thing to learn. Relative to like learning a combo is very fun, it's very visceral, it's very flashy, you get to see your character doing cool shit on the screen. But learning how to get
your team can't sell you in wrestling, that's true.
is a difficult roadblock for beginners because it's not exciting. Unfortunately, it's like your vegetables, you know? You can't just have like McDonald's for every meal. You've got to also learn to enjoy your vegetables too. And defense can be fun, you know? Getting good at defense in fighting games can also be very rewarding, but it's a much slower process. It doesn't have that immediate like click that you get from doing a cool new combo or something.
That's the way you get better.
You hear that, guys?
No more.
If you run into stun in Master Duel, it's going to be rewarding when you beat it.
You know what? I've changed my mind. I don't think this guy is cut out to play fighting games. I've changed my mind. He's being polite and respectful towards his opponents. He's giving them credit for outplaying him. You're not going to make it in the FGC, buddy. You think that's what we do? You think that's what we do in this community? You think we're self-aware? No. You complain about the character. You complain about the system mechanics. You complain about the netcode. The sun was in your eyes, any of these, but we do not give our opponents credit for beating us. That is the one thing you don't do.
What's the name of your model animal in Casmoozy?
I'm just seeing in chat right now. Hey,
it's Yummy Cupsy. But then I just added a blunt to it. Yeah, it's Cupsy.
In his chat and then Nausea Snake in my chat. Wait a second. Do we have NL fans cross-posting in both chats?
You got undefeated for 3 years? Oh, shit.
Very interesting.
Damn.
And then on the bounce. And then I think I just command grab you. Then honestly, I think I follow it up with a regular grab. I don't think you got an answer for it. Then I follow it up with another command
What's
grab.
the name of the blunt?
I don't think you got a solution if someone's in your face. I think if someone's a long distance away, you got a great idea. If someone's right in your face, you got no clue. You got no clue. Huge miss.
The Grappler, yes. He's getting into the command grab grappler mindset now.
Smart break. And then, I think I waited way too long.
Wait, he still got it after the whiff? After the super whip, he still gotta confirm. That's crazy.
That one felt really nice. That one felt really good. Even though I'm not doing the combo, that one felt really nice. That one felt mighty nice.
You smoke blunts?
Look at his face, he's
I do
loving
not
it.
smoke blunts. I just think it's super
Maybe
funny.
never
A lot of my
That's what's so
profile
crazy about it.
pictures have a blunt
He's having fun. That's the most important thing.
associated with it. So I just ran with the joke. Do you play fighting games? Not for a long time.
That's why he's playing.
I played Ultimate Marvel
You know
vs.
what's the
Capcom
main
3
takeaway from the
for
end
like
there?
a long ass time.
People make a mistake.
but
I feel like when people
it's not like I went to
first try and
tournaments.
play
Right? I just
fighting
played
games,
for fun.
they
with
come at it
friends.
from the wrong angle a lot of the time. They'll be like, I need to learn this combo. I need to learn team synergy. I need to learn X or Y technical thing about this game. You know what you need to learn? You need to learn how to have fun. Before you even consider learning how to actually play the game properly, you need to learn how to have fun. This man is a born fun haver. He seems to be enjoying the game, and I'm glad to see it. Oh yeah, I guess just before we finish, I guess we should talk about this. Here's the thing. People are accusing me of being the person in chat who sent this. I did not send this. I was sent this clip. I don't know who it was who mentioned this to him. You guys seen this?
You should try Nen Impact. Is Nen Impact a move, or is Nen Impact a fighting game that you deem superior, but it has like 8 players?
I mean, he called his shot, you know? You know what's crazy? You know
I
what's
hate
fucking
fun?
wild
True.
about that? As Nen Impact's strongest soldier, do you know what's crazy? I think he may have overestimated the current player count. He decided to go with 8 as his example of like a hilariously unpopular fighting game. Let me just Steam charts post real quick. Yeah, current player is 6. So he actually overestimated the current player count by 2. He tried to think of a hilariously low number and he still overshot it. It's not looking good, Nen bros. I think it may be Nen over, dare I say. Evo France will save this game. Trust the plan. 130 people registered.
That's crazy.
Probably 125.
Dude, a lot of fighting games end up like that. I think DNF Duel was another game that just like.
Anyway, so yeah,
I think
I'm
DNF
glad to see
Duel
L
looked
playing a
cool.
fighting game as a fighting game.
I don't
It's
know.
fun to watch.
I never
he seemed
picked
to
it
take
up
to it very
again,
quickly,
I don't
even though he hasn't played a
play
fighting
fighting
game
games
in
as much.
a very, very long time. And I hope he continues to play. I think like
Hey,
hopefully
Shin,
maybe
Oscar,
there'll be
how's
like a
it going?
Sajam Slam for this game. Maybe he could be convinced to do a Sajam
But
Slam. I think that'd be very cool. But
DNF Duel had
it was nice to
some,
see him have fun. That was the main takeaway.
Maybe I expect like anything that Arc System Works touches is gold or whatever. But yeah, let me go to Steam charts. This has been out for a long ass time, but I think like within, holy shit, holy moly, yeah. It had like a pretty decent drop off. Holy moly! All right, Kawaii Geo fighting game. 6 players on MD soon. True. Okay. Give me a second. All right. So Shoddy linked this. So I'll take a look at this, and then I'll take a look at the replay.
He was a cop and good at his job. But
Oh
he
my
committed
God.
The ultimate sin and testified against other cops gone bad. Cops that tried to kill him, but got
I
the
feel
woman
like
he loved instead. Framed for
American
murder,
Dad or
now he
this
prowls
gets
the
parodied a
Badlands,
lot.
An outlaw hunting outlaws. A bounty
The
hunter.
new Yu-Gi-Oh game is good with no penalty. Are you gonna try playing it? Like on, I guess there's no like tournaments and community side. Bro, this is so anachronistic. It's crazy. I'm like aging watching this. What was that? Pot of Greed coming? What deck do you want to play? You want to play 3 Pot of Greed? Bro, okay. I still can't get over the scene of him like aura farming with like the 95-cent gallon of water. I mean, he looks good. I'm just saying. This is taking me out. You can just someone extremely last year. Yeah. Look up original Spider-Man scene when he wakes up. It used to be considered buff. Okay. Okay, I'll check out the replay. All right. Master Duel. Master. I can play my Odin deck for 5Ds. Oh shit! Like with Tang Jostner and I actually don't know what. It's like Nordics, right? No. Orm. Oh, okay, okay. All right, replay. All right, someone broke a stun board. Or some lock. All right, we'll check it out. Nope. Orm. Actually, don't even know if they're still here. Duelist. Okay, you need to make the replay public. Orm. 80 gems? Yeah. Genesis is good? Why is there no replay saved? Now? Okay. Okay, thank you. Orm. Okay, we have Blue Eyes. Okay, we have Book of Eclipse. This is a good sign. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Gravekeeper's Trap? Uh-oh. Noturia Beast? Uh-oh. Hey, Fernfear. Buh. Oh, no. Agido, yeah, Agido. Duck. Yeah, duck. Oh, bamboo shoe, I see. Okay. Alright, berries. Okay, rope salt into the wound. Madara. Gemini is the best deck in MD after Malice get hit. You don't think Ryzeal's good? Okay, that helps a lot. It's just that helps a lot to beat Bamboo Shoot. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Do you see my replay before I got OTK? I think... I mean, if you want to share it again, you could refresh my memory. What's your information? Your ID? Okay, I think bro is cooked since you can play spells and traps. Nice. You forgot it was trivia summon? Yeah. It's satisfying? Yeah. What can bro do? Yeah. Okay, Bell. I mean, you have Roar. It's all good. She plays sounds dramatic. Oh. This seems very bad for Lil Bro. Actually, how does he beat Tyrant? What does he do after Tyrant runs his pockets? Tyrant stealing his lunch money. That doesn't do anything. Rip. Nice. Damn. Valor and Eclipse, let's go. A lot of people loved your Blue Eyes combo. What's your ID? I don't know if I have you added on my main account. It's kind of hard because I have a lot of... I'm already following max people. To find someone on Fonda. Dun, dun, dun. Who this? Okay, I'll just unfollow you. Okay, I'll add you. Which one was it? Dun, dun, dun. The last one? Oh, the one where you lost? Okay. No, I don't think I've seen this. No, I don't think I've seen it. It seems more recent. Or this is in Genesis? I know. You got OTK'd? Okay. Oh, this is fucked up. Uh-oh. Oh, what the fuck? What the hell is this? Is this Earthbound at OTK? Yeah. Oh no, it's fucking Earthbound. Oh no, it's so cooked. Yeah. Honestly, I wasn't sure until he activated, until reasoning resolved. I didn't know, bruh. That was scary. That's some crit shit. Okay, I think is there anything else I wanted to, I mean, maybe there's more things. Oh, scary. I think I'm good. In an ideal world, Genmu would wake up and then I'd raid them, but I think they're sleep. So I will probably find someone else to raid. But yeah, Duelist Cup is in 3 hours. I know Shoma Yusa, twitch.tv/Shoma Yusa. I kind of want to shout him out. I did enjoy popping into his, here, I'll shout out Shoma Yusa. Actually, what is his Twitch? I think it's Shoma Yusa. What the fuck did I just... Oh. Come on. Bruh. Okay, let's just go on Twitch. Yeah, I'm just trying to find Shoma Yusa's. Oh, here we go. Yeah. All right, I'll shout out. I can follow you in MD. Yeah, feel free. You don't have to, but. Want your ID? Twitch.tv/Northern Lion. Yeah. What's my ID? I think it's 122-966-180. Actually, we can just do this stupid ass command that I created. I can't believe. There you go. Don't ask, okay? Yeah, I know Shoma Yusa is gonna stream DC. Ray said he would stream DC. But I guess if you watch Ray, you'll see. 180, yeah. That's half a circle. You're welcome. Who else? I don't know if Jesse said he's gonna play, but I don't know if he's gonna stream. Who else? But yeah, I will raid out. Thank you for coming, guys. It was pretty chill. Actually, spent longer than I wanted to, but that's probably, maybe it's a good thing if the time flies. DC feels like free content for Jesse, probably, yeah. Actually, someone's Siri crafting Genesis. You know what? Someone asked about Genesis. Bro will surely grind. He loves the format. No. Judeo's not streaming, right? He's like out of town. So can he still stream? I know. Okay, I was impressed because Genmu was telling me she just needs a laptop, and she has her whole streaming setup in like one laptop and I think a USB or something. So I don't know. Jesse said he's not gonna stream because he's tryharding. Makes sense. Okay. All right. If hotel Wi-Fi allows, he's gonna stream on hotel Wi-Fi. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. But I guess it's dual. Okay, maybe it's not as crazy because like yeah, Genmu told me how she only has like a laptop and something else, one other accessory, to stream. So I shouldn't be surprised that like Judeo isn't in air. But yeah, Judeo. Oh, you mean like he might have Wi-Fi? Honestly, okay. Judeo's fucking setup made me think it was a hotel just because of how like Hideo playing from his Airbnb. Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was a hotel. His setup just looks the Chad minimalist setup. That's what all I'm gonna say. Here, oh my god, now I found a way to yap about a tangent into another tangent. This looks like a hotel. This looks like a hotel fucking bench. Oh, but he has like a... Wait, he could stream. Holy shit. My uni setup when I was in dorms? Yeah, dude, yeah, okay. Yeah, he can, my setup is a little bit... Because I have 2 monitors. Actually, this might be fine. Honestly, maybe because I'm used to 2 screens. Genmu streams on 1 screen. And so, I don't know, it's kind of crazy to me to stream on 1 screen. Barely enough room for a cup of water. I know, dude. I don't even have 1 desk. I have 2 desks to support, 1 to support each of my screens. It's like an L shape. Actually, you kind of seen my setup. You guys saw my setup, right? Or in that one time I was. My setup's a mess right now, though. I haven't. I added some crap today to it. But yeah, there's not that much room. Well, maybe it's for the best if you're streaming on 1 screen. Just yeah. All right. I gotta find someone to raid. Okay, let's go say hi to Gutter Snipe. I don't know, Reggie Raid or something. He's playing Genesis. Some people seem to like Genesis. Wait, I thank you for accompanying me. This was just a random stream. I don't know. Okay, tomorrow I actually am going to be out of town. I need to get my blood work done and probably visit some family. So I have to fast. Your boy has to fast before I get my blood work. Saturday and Sunday would probably be another what's called another likelihood that I'll stream, but I kind of want to. I'll see. What is it that I want to? There's some things. There's some like. It would be very, very, very good if I got ahead of some stuff on that Saturday instead of streaming. I don't want to procrastinate, so I guess don't expect to stream on Saturday. But also, who knows what plans my SO might want to do something. He's gonna be watching Raymond Unk die. Oh yeah, I could be watching Raymond Unk die. Yeah. Very, very extraordinary, yeah. My 1 desk somehow fits my laptop, a 27-inch screen, and my unusable drawing tablet. Yo. I need to get Master 1 with MathMech. I haven't been playing Master Duel in a while. I haven't been avoiding it. There was just a lot of stuff I was prioritizing. The last session... Oh, I have to... the last session of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was pretty... I was fumbling with Fiendsmith Raizio, but... I haven't had a bad time with MathMech lately because of all the new toys. But we'll see. Maybe I'll do an extended stream on Saturday or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. When is Anaheim, actually? I gotta check. My hotel is booked for literally... Okay, I actually have some time. Oh yeah, there's still some time till the end of the season. Okay, I got Pocket out of the way. That's good. I don't know if I'll stream the new setup. Sorry, the new set for Pocket. It's just reprints. And I'm going to be saving for B1. I have like 800 plus hourglasses. So I'll probably make those go towards B1, which is the Megas drop. So I've been saving for at least, this will be like 2 months of saving hourglasses. What about Full Art Oak? I think I'll just pull from it, naturally. But Full Art Goku would be really nice. If because it's there for a limited time, maybe I'll rage pull a couple 10 pulls. But yeah, I think I should yeah. Oak is banned? Yeah, Oak is banned. I like how colloquially we call it Oak, even though it's called Professor's Research. But I think, yeah, it's actually not Oak. It's just Professor's Research. But I think colloquially it's just easier to call it Professor Oak. But yeah, I'll do Pocket when B1 drops for sure though. I guess I'll focus on Yu-Gi-Oh for the remaining days. It would have been nice to be focused on TCG, but we'll see. I'll do some Genesis actually. If there's time. Genesis seems fun. Anyway, let me raid this Genesis streamer. Alright, let's start the raid. I've been talking. I've been talking too much. Yap. Yeah, I think Gen was asleep. I would have raided her again. She's supposed to be also streaming. I think she's been doing Duelist Cup, but just stage 2. Stage 1. So I don't know. I'll probably like. I have to do something on the side anyway. I'll probably be in her chat anyway. But yeah. Thanks for accompanying me. How long have I been going? Yeah, only 3 hours. Okay, that's baby shit. That's not that bad. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll just start the raid. Thank you for dropping by. It was chill. Bye-bye.